Are you ready?
Do the countdown. Mm-hmm.
You got Audacity open, have you?
I got it. Oh, I got it open here, Foxy. I got it open and ready to go.
Okay, right. In that case. Oh no, I've pressed. Oh, jeez. I started without you. Hang on.
You done messed up because you wanted to start to get all that funny pre.
I got the OBS running for that. I just clicked to record for no. Right. Okay. Ready?
3, 2, 1. Now recording.
Good.
We got this, Foxy.
We got this. How hard could it be? You know, it's
that seems too simple.
Yeah, it does indeed. It's just episode 16. We've been doing this for 4 weeks now, and plus some couple of weeks worth of breaks. But let's not focus on what we've missed. We should be,
I didn't end up in the hospital with COVID or nothing. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Has it been that long already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Anyway.
Crazy.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Minecraft Update podcast. It is me, FoxyNoTail, and I am joined today with SlackLizard. Sadly, no Jessiie B. However, I think that could be my fault. Because I apologise at the beginning of the last live stream for messing people up, not live stream, podcast, for messing you two about, and it appears I have inadvertently done it again. Because, you see, I was supposed to be working away today doing some filming project stuff. However, I don't have to do that, and I thought I hadn't mentioned that to you guys, so I didn't mention to you today or yesterday about changing the time back again. But I think you reminded me that I must have mentioned something previously, so I think we must have rearranged something. I've forgotten, you've semi-forgotten, Jessiie B's clearly remembered and didn't bother to set her alarm to wake up really early for the podcast. Oh, sorry, Jessiie.
Well, it's not as bad this week. Well, I mean, this for her. I mean, she's, 3 hours behind me, so it'd be like 5 a.m.
Yeah. Jeez.
Who needs sleep, right?
Yeah, sleep's for this. It's overrated. It's like, I don't get any sleep. And, you know,
you can just sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we assume you can. Science is yet
you don't sleep
to prove that one. Yeah, maybe just wide awake in a just completely different state, but everyone's just like, nah, they're dead. Put them in the cremation.
This turned really dark and really grim here really quick.
Yeah, let's move on. What have you been doing this week, Slack? Jeez.
This week, it's been good. Last week was... Huh? What? You're reading the documents? What?
No, you haven't written it on the document, so just a dot for you.
This is something we always just kind of talk about.
What's the point in me spending hours, it literally over an hour today before this podcast preparing everything, if you can't even be bothered to fill in the one line of text, which you've now done. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. I won't read that on the podcast, but I appreciate the sentiment, and I will do that later on.
Right. Anyways, this week for me, it's been recording. I finally, I told you, what was it, a couple weeks ago that I went through a rut, I think we all hit them from time to time. I went through a down phase, a depression phase, whatever you want to call it. And I've gotten over that. And it's just been, I've been so motivated now. I've finally gotten back onto TB, and I'm grinding and I'm building, and I'm loving it. And this thing where I did where I made a schedule and I put myself on the schedule?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? Yeah, I threw it out the window.
Good for you.
And I am so much happier. Suck. They do. It feels like work then. It feels like work.
It does feel like work. You don't want to, as soon as you've got it written down, what you've got to do, you don't want to do it. It's like, even if it's you telling you what to do, you're like, you didn't tell me what to do.
Yeah. It's like when you lay down in bed at night, okay? You lay down in bed and you get there and you get semi-comfortable and you're like, I need to get up and turn out that light in the other room. And then at that moment, you're more comfortable than you've ever been in your whole life. And you will never achieve this state of perfection again.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at that light coming through the door.
Yeah.
And it's like, can I ignore it?
No, they can't. Ignore it. That light creeps through and it's in your mind, and it's just there at the back of your mind, and before you know it, you're just like, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you get up weighing 1,000 pounds knowing that you'll never get back to that state again.
Yeah.
But no, this week it's been great. I've been recording. I've been hanging out. I've been chilling. Like, I literally was about to say right there before we began recording, we need to get together and do something. We haven't recorded nothing together in so long.
Yeah.
We need to get together. Even if it's just us just hanging out, doing base tours and just hanging out, we got to get together and do something. I'm just saying.
I agree.
I've got more motivation than I've had in a long time for Minecraft and everything. And it's great. Life is good. it might be due to the fact that, I got that surgery coming up where hopefully my neck's going to get dealt with. Jen's going to be over here soon. And just, I'm happy with life right now, Foxy. I'm genuinely happy with life.
Good. I'm going to tick this bit off on the calendar as an upward cycle for you. And hopefully this time, there's more of a gap before it all goes down again.
Yeah. We're on the upswing right now. How long till we hit the down? I don't know, but let's ride the up while it's up.
It's like trading Bitcoin with you, Slack. It's up and down. It's unreal. And it's never your fault.
Invest, right?
It's not like, I just, today I'm just really grumpy, so I can't be bothered. It's just life just keeps throwing curveballs to you.
Look,
and you're like,
everything's
for goodness sake.
So good. Like, I hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and like YouTube is just pushing my channel right now. Like every video, like 50 to 100,000 impressions per video. Granted, I'm only getting like 2,000 or 3,000 views, but you can see it in the analytics. Like in the last 5 days alone, I've gained like 150 subs.
Wow. That's very good.
They're really pushing my channel right now, and I'm shocked. And I know it's going to end. We've seen it before with YouTube. You get a push, they push your videos, and they're like, yeah, this is doing great. But like Friday's video dropped. Last Friday's, and it was like 9 out of 10, and we know what that's like. It's like, oh, that's sad. I went to bed and I woke up and it's like 1 out of 10, and it's just walking away. And it's been like that for every video since I've hit 10,000 subs. It's insane. I don't understand it.
Jeez.
I don't.
Well, just for reference, peeps, this reminds me of a comment I got the other day that really upset me, actually, this comment, until I realized that I'm a complete moron. It's really bizarre when you do YouTube now. There's the first page you go on, particularly if you look at the YouTube app or the dashboard on the normal studio, and it tells you how good your video has done compared to the last 10 videos that you've released within the same time period. And it's obviously out of 10 because it's the last 10 videos. If it's 1 out of 10, it's done the best. It means it's done better than every other one of those 10 videos within that time frame. So if it's 10 hours after you've just released the video, and if it's 1 out of 10, it's doing the best at that point. Which,
in comparison to the other videos,
yeah, you get in your head 1 out of 10 good, 10 out of 10 bad. And all of mine recently, I wonder why, something to do with my on and off again YouTube system, have all been 10 out of 10, which is understandable. And sometimes it makes you feel a little bit down, but I'm expecting that at the moment until I get back on it like you are and start pumping out content. However, I got a comment the other day from somebody saying 8 out of 10, Foxy, would have been better if you had Mr. Onion and Big Chicken doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, 8 out of 10? Wow, keep your comments to yourself. And then it suddenly occurred to me that I'm like, oh no, that's good.
I get it now. Oh my God. Hey, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh.
So then they were like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, 10 out of 10. Oh, yeah, more like it. And because I got in the mindset 1 out of 10 is good and 10 out of 10 is bad. So they were being like really nice. And I'm there like taking offense because it's my brain's tuned in now to be the other way around. So sorry, I've gone off on a tangent on yours this week. So
no, that's great. I love and hate that thing. I love and hate it. You love to see it when it's good, but when it says anything bad, and then YouTube's like, I hate when they even add in the extra, this video's doing worse than others. Maybe you should consider doing other things. It's like, really? Really?
Yeah. Have you noticed this video's doing really badly? Have you thought about doing something else? Maybe you could get a job as a bin man or something. You're like, oh, geez, YouTube, really?
It's not to that extreme, but it feels
jobs
just like
going at the school down the road. Oh, wow. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks for my moral support. Yeah. No, it's, to be honest, I mean, it is, I don't like the fact that it tells you when videos are doing badly because it is demoralizing, but it is actually, if you can take the emotion out of the situation, it's actually very useful because it does explain to you as best it can why your video's not performing as well on the metrics that it's got. So, and they're getting better all the time. And it'll be like, hey, look, less people are clicking on this in the recommended section, which generally means that your thumbnail and your title sucks. Or it'll say less of your normal viewers are watching this video. And that's perhaps because you put it out at a different time to normal, or because maybe Hermitcraft has just started the new season and everyone's watching them instead. And you can get an understanding, whereas none of that existed before. So if a video was doing bad, you were just there scratching your head going, yeah, but why? Unless you had a genius IQ, or you were some sort of like master's degree in understanding Google's analytics, you had no idea why your videos were doing bad other than just, well, it must have been rubbish, so I'll try harder next time. So I do like that.
Yeah, I'd still say the biggest thing with YouTube is being consistent. They love consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem that way. And that comes to, I don't think that's YouTube themselves being consistent, but that just comes to people clicking on your videos more regularly. So like Rotator Dialface noted to me the other day that I've now dropped off his like subscriptions homepage feed because I haven't released videos regularly enough. It's not because my channel's doing worse. It's just because YouTube's going, oh, this person's not putting out videos. It's pointless keep recommending the same video over and over again when other people are, putting out videos. So it's going to take me a while to climb back up that ladder until YouTube goes, oh, yeah, people are clicking on your videos again, so let's put you back in these recommended sections. So it's, it is, which does mean that they prefer consistency, but it's logical if you follow it through why it happens. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like I know for the longest time there, back before TV started and everything like that, when I became a FoxyNoTail fan, that your videos used to drop at 4 a.m. my time, consistently on the same days. And like, if you were off, I was like, oh, no video today. So I'd look for something else to watch in its place. Yeah. It's like I watch a 7 Days to Die content creator, and I know every night at 10 o'clock a video of his drops. And if it doesn't drop, I'm already on YouTube. So I will find somebody else to watch because I've set aside that time for that content. Yeah. And if it's not there, I'm going to click something else.
I always used to do my videos at my time. It was always 6 p.m. exactly my time. And it was always on a Tuesday and a Friday. But now I've, because of the way things have changed, and I tried to sort of make it more fitting for other time zones, I moved it all to 2 p.m. my time, which, and on Wednesdays and Saturdays instead, because they conflict otherwise with things like the podcast and other things I'm doing. I try to have like a stream one day and then a video another day, so they're not on the same day. And that's been fine. I haven't noticed a drop in watchers because of that, but everything has shifted because it's a slightly different audience. So like the comments I get have shifted. They don't have the same tone I used to get. So it's really bizarre.
Well, it's like last night I streamed for like 8 hours before this podcast, but it's a totally different audience because I started streaming at like midnight my time. Okay. Usually I used to stream at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Okay. But at 4 p.m., I can tell you the people who's going to be there. I can tell you the type of engagement I'm going to get. I can tell you I could say no to pineapple and like 15 people in chat are going to instantly uproar. While if I go live at midnight, I'm not pulling the same people. I'm pulling a totally different audience. Like I probably had 30 new followers last night. So many new people from like Australia and stuff like that because I don't usually stream in that time slot.
No, because you should be asleep, Slack.
I'm on more of a UK time schedule than anything right now, to be fair.
Yeah, no, understandable.
So like that, I used to wake up at 4 a.m. American time. That's when we used to get together and record our collabs, which is like 9 o'clock your time, right?
Yeah.
I'm now waking up at 4 a.m. British time.
Wow. Jeez.
So like there's a clock on my desk and I go by that clock on my desk. That clock on my desk says it's 1:53 right now.
It is. It is indeed.
Right. But where I live, it's actually 8:53 in the morning.
Yeah.
But I go by that other clock.
You crackers. You crackers.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, I don't want to cut you off, Slack, because I'm actually really enjoying listening to this, but we've got a heck of a news week this week because we didn't get the
I know.
stuff
And
last
you still
week.
haven't said what you're doing.
I know, exactly. And we've got a lot of feedback to cover as well. So I am going to skip through my bit as quickly as possible without waffling on, which means I'll probably be waffling on for as long as you did. I haven't been working on videos much because it's the Easter holidays. I've got Oliver with me at the moment. He's actually gone to his grandparents today. So today I have been working on a Minecraft 1.19 beta update video because the first beta for 1.19 is actually finally released. More on that in the news later. So yeah, that's hopefully going to be edited and out for this weekend. And the other thing I've been doing, I have now put over 40 hours into Elden Ring. And I'm a level like 55 person in that now. And I'm just going around and beating lots of things up. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I never thought for a second I would enjoy that game. And I absolutely love it. I've got to say, it's probably on my top 10 games I've ever played.
Oh, I love what bit I've played of it. It's just finding the time to squeeze it in. I love it. It's great, but finding time.
The advantage of having, Oliver here this week means that while he's upstairs playing on his iPad or doing what he's doing, I could just sneak on for a bit, do a couple of hours here. When he was in bed, do a couple of hours there, and it's brilliant. So I've managed to put loads of time in while he's been here and still find time during the day to obviously engage with him and do stuff together. One thing we did, we actually went to see the new Sonic 2 movie, which was ridiculously good considering it's... I mean, the first one was okay. I mean, it wasn't awful. Everyone expected it to be awful. It wasn't great, the first one, because it was a little bit... I don't know, it just felt a bit off. But this one was really good. I really enjoyed it and found myself desperate to see the next one. So, yeah, it's crazy.
It's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
So anyway, moving on from what I've been doing this week to the feedback. And we do have a lot of feedback, and I think we'll probably end up cutting a little bit of it short because... like I say, we've got a big news week today, and we probably... Slack's just done an 8-hour live stream. I don't think he wants to do a 4-hour podcast, and I certainly don't want to edit a 4-hour podcast.
4 hours? Let's go.
No, I want to play Elden Ring. I want to edit for 4 hours. That's cutting 2 hours into my Elden Ring time. You don't understand. It's important to me.
Oh, so trust me, I do understand. I need to edit like 4 7 Days to Die videos because I've started doing that on my second channel.
Oh, jeez.
So I understand.
Jeez. Isn't that watchful editing those for you as well? Jeez.
No, he's doing all my Minecraft content. I'm doing my second channel content.
Fair enough. Understandable. We're starting with Pickles, the real deal pick saying, and this was... oh man, I'm going to jump straight into this when I've finished this one, Slack, because this was actually dropped on my Discord, and I actually started writing to it immediately as I received it, because it really, I didn't like make me angry or anything, but there was just I've got a strong reaction to this, and I'll explain why in a minute. So, recently in a podcast, you mentioned how hard it is to play on a multiplayer server due to people having different amounts of time to spend on Minecraft. It seems to me that with a simple change to your server software, you could simply ban anyone after they've been connected a certain amount of time per week, then have it reset for the next week. Pickles, genius, you've just solved the problem. Let's ban all of my paying members from the server when they've spent too much time being on the server.
No. No, ban. Can we just ban Pickles? Do we have to put that comment out there? No.
Pickles, that's crazy. If somebody is spending their hard-paid money, like, to support me and getting that as a perk to go on the servers, the last thing I want to do is reward them by going, you've done too many hours this week. Think of the slow people. You've got to go. The first thing they're going to do is get annoyed. The second thing they're going to do is go, well, if I can't play on this one, I'm just going to go play on Mr. Beardstone's. And then Mr. Beardstone's going to be rich and I'm going to be poor. So, you know, this is no good, Pickles. No good at all. I appreciate the sentiment there, Pickles. I understand the logic, but realistically, it's completely ridiculous. It can't be a thing because it just excludes all of the people that are putting the time and the effort in and have the time and the effort, which isn't fair. The problem with the issue is there is no real middle ground there for fast players and slow players, other than saying, okay, we're going to have 2 servers, one for fast players, one for slow players. The fast one's going to reset every 3 months, slow one's going to reset every 3 years. But then people go, well, that's my friend there. I want to play on the same server as them. And that's really good. What they're doing on that one, I want to play on that one. So it doesn't work.
And then you're splitting your community over multiple servers. So now instead of having one server that slowly gets less and less active, you got 3 of your fast people who, play forever. And then you got 3 of your slow people who play forever. Now, instead of having 6 people on one server, now you've got, there's only 2 people on there today. I guess I won't get on there. Oh, there's nobody on there. Oh, there's nobody. So now you got 2 dead servers. No, bad.
Yeah, so thanks for thinking of it, Pickles, but no, that's not a good solution. Right, I've actually written all of these as if Jessie's going to be here, so I'll read out the Jessie one, Slack, and save you stumbling through the longer ones.
Save me. I literally just broke out the jar of honey and was like taking a teaspoon of honey because I'm like, it's a long live stream and then this. My throat is not going to handle all these that good.
Yeah, I'll jump in on Jessie's and I'll do a lot of editing like I did last week to make it sound like I'm actually good at reading these things out. If they did an end update with some new type of ore for tools and armor, I could see an ender pearl based ingot that, when combined with tools, would teleport them back to you when you came in range. Say you die in a void, you would bridge to where you died and the tools would whoosh back to you. It would have to be very, very expensive to get and probably impossible to program, but cool nonetheless. I really like that idea, Blue Block, that you've got an ingot that you put on things that make your almost like magnetic, or in this type it's teleporting, isn't it? But for years I've wanted a magnet in Minecraft to make items come to you from a certain distance, and that would be really easy to do with add-ons, but no one wants it. God. Everyone's told me I'm not allowed.
I was just talking about this morning on stream. I was mining on Truly Bedrock in the Mesa, and I was like, there needs to be an enchantment that's called like Deep Pockets or something like that. So if I have like Deep Pockets 1, blocks from 2, anything from 2 blocks away will come to my inventory, and 3, I can get them from like 4, and then 5, I can get them from like 7 blocks away, because it's annoying. You mine a block and then it decides it's going to go 7 blocks to the east or west.
Yeah, look, scaffolding. When it falls down, goes into like unloaded chunks. It falls that far away. It's ridiculous.
Yep, I was literally saying this morning, I was like, I know I could do that via commands alone. There should be a way that's an enchantment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you there. I think that's a really good idea. And also, if people like this idea of a magnet, like I say, it's a really, really easy add-on to make. So please let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in, because I'll put it on my website.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Right, Jared Slack.
Oh, Jared says, on pranks, I normally don't enjoy prank videos, but the current April Fool's Day Hermitcraft videos have been really good. I'm not sure why, but I think it's more how they are tailored to each player and aren't destructive.
I can't comment because I haven't seen any.
I haven't seen them neither. I said when the new Hermitcraft season started, I was like, I'm going to watch some Hermits, and I've watched like 3 episodes, and it's just, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I say, I haven't seen any, so sadly can't comment on that. But that does sound good if they've been, tailored to the players and not destructive. That sounds nice. It sounds like there's been a lot of communication there as well. So good on the Hermits.
Good deal.
Rusty Shackleford. Jeez. I found a way to automatically export the podcast. The program runs a script that drags its rear across the logo and smears it. GG, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Edit, I've also learned the hard way that checking my work is important. I've had audio files save incorrectly and result in silence in the radio. The absolute worst thing you can do in radio is have silence. I'm not just bursting your stones to be a jerk. I do it because I want to see the podcast succeed. It's also possible YouTube is to blame. I'm not surprised if that's the case. Rusty, you are absolutely 100% correct. People should check their work. However, in this particular scenario, I did check the audio of the work, and I did notice for some reason when I uploaded this newly put together video to YouTube that YouTube managed to smear the logo. But as we have suggested several thousand times on this podcast is for your ears and not for your eyes. So I didn't really care all that much that it smeared. And this one today will probably be smeared as well. I don't know why I did that. I think it's probably because I set the render settings to be 1 frame a second, and I don't think YouTube handles that very well. It could just also be a problem with the encoding thing. I have no idea, but like I say, if it's an audio issue, then yes, that's a problem, and I should probably check that. But yeah, if it's a visual thing on the YouTube video, then I don't care. So, any thoughts on that, Slack?
No. I think that just about covers it. I mean, it's like listening to streams. I don't really watch people's streams. I usually just have them up in another window while I'm doing something else. Just it's a podcast.
Yeah. Rusty actually then continued in another comment to say, here's a fun challenge. The 3 of you should switch accents with each other for a section of the podcast. The first one to break his or her accent has to do a different challenge for equal or greater silliness. On one hand, I quite like that idea, Rusty, but I think to do it for a whole section of the podcast would not only be difficult for us all, but it would be really irritating for a lot of listeners that probably wouldn't find that funny. I think those sorts of things are funny when... Yeah, fair enough. I think they're funny when it's a one-off, like when you do a little quick impression here as there. I think impressions are fun, but if you're just doing a constant impression, particularly if it's not a very good one, it's just cringeworthy and irritating. So maybe we'll do the odd thing here and there in different people's voices or something, but yeah, certainly not a whole podcast. Jeez. Sorry, Slack, I cut you off when you were talking then.
That's fine. I was talking.
Used to it.
Yeah.
Used to it. Tyler. Tyler says, jeez. Hey, I wanted to say in regards to what Foxy said about playing the Android version of Minecraft on Windows 11 device using an emulator, other than getting it cheaper, why would anyone get it? Why not just get the Windows version or Java? I'm sure there will be people who do that, and I don't mean to bash them over the head, but I don't get why someone would do that. I have a Windows 11 computer that I can run Minecraft, both Java and Bedrock, perfectly fine at the same time too. That's mainly because I have a gaming computer that can run both games fine. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, why would anyone get the Android Minecraft using an emulator on a computer, other than to get it cheaper, which I think is the only reason anyone would do that? One last thing, Fox's American accent sounds like one of those AI voices one would use. What I mean by an AI voice is a voice like Siri. I don't think that's true. I think that comment is totally ridiculous. This is not clearly a very good piece of feedback. Jeez. What do you think, Mr. Lizard?
Can I jump in on this one real quick?
You can jump in on this one just real quick.
Okay, right. So, one of the why I could think
How
of
would you like
one
me to
reason right
find
off the
why?
bat.
Would you like me to search the internet
Siri,
for that?
Be quiet. Siri, power off.
Powering off. How would you like me to power off? Would you like me to try and plug myself out of the mains? My battery is currently at 47%. It will take 4 hours and 17 minutes for my battery to fully deplete at this brightness setting.
Siri, volume 10, brightness max.
Powering down.
Great. This is the perfect time for helicopters to fly over. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. Just making sure you're there, Slack.
Right. You, aside from saving money, you can't think of a reason why. Well, I can real quick. If I had an emulator running the game, I could put a different account on it and I could record a time lapse on that while still playing on the same computer at the same time.
Yep.
I've got a gaming computer too. So I could, if I had that on here, it just make it easier than me have to spin around here to my other computer that cost me an arm and a leg and power that up with the monitor that is going to raise the temperature of my room by 20 degrees,
Yeah, if you've only got one version or one device or one PC and you don't have another device to put Minecraft on, it's a really good way of getting an alt account in the game to do AFK stuff for you, or if you've got a powerful enough computer to do time lapses. But Tyler, you've kind of missed the point there. I mentioned that it is possible to do that, not that people would. I was literally using that in comparison to say that, like, Apple devices should be able to use the Apple Store iOS versions of Minecraft on Apple because they don't have it natively for Mac OS. So it was just a comparison. I'm not, no one was saying that this is how people should go about it and that people do. We was just, so I think you've kind of missed the point on what we were saying there, Tyler, but I do appreciate the feedback. But yeah, also it's like half the price. So if it works just as well as Windows 11 version, why use Windows 11 version when you can pay half the amount if it's the same game?
I'll say this, though. The only time I've ever used an emulator in the past is when I had a very bad computer.
Yeah.
So, the emulator was always laggy. The delay between doing stuff, it was like ghosting keyboard buttons, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know with a good computer if it'd be real time. If it'd be real time, maybe, but it doesn't hurt nothing, and there's no right or wrong way for people to play the game and play the game how they want to. I mean, that's like seeing people make videos and it says, please activate Windows in the bottom right-hand corner. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I think the most common emulator for Windows 10, at least, is BlueStacks. And if you run Minecraft on that, it's awful. The experience is absolutely terrible. However, the reason I brought up Windows 11 is because it's supposed to have, and I don't know whether it actually does yet or not, but it's supposed to have native support for Android apps to be able to run them within Windows without it will have some level of emulation, I guess, but it'll be based on Windows, so it should be better. It should natively run. So my thoughts were that if you had the Android version of Minecraft on Windows 10 or Windows 11, it should run almost as well as, normal Minecraft. But I don't actually think that exists properly yet. It's something they've been talking about for years, but doesn't seem to have actually come out yet. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, then you could run, an Androided version of the game. Then you could run BlueStacks and run a version of the game, and then you could run the game itself.
You can run Hyper-V and have another version of Windows installed, like I have on my computer, and have a game running that as well. So that's how I currently have AFK on the same PC. Is to have literally Windows 10 running inside of Windows 10. So
tutorial, please, bruh.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, jeez. What does Zeta have to say?
Zeta with Team. I finally was able to listen to the podcast that released on the 25th, and that fixed the audio issues that I had. Thanks for working and solving it.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think that's obviously... I've now gone back and literally replaced every single one of our podcasts that we've done with updated audio file, which is not only saving us space and making it easier for people to download and listen to because it's half the file size, but it also seems to not have the looping weird issue at the end, so that's good.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Right.
Hey,
what?
Thrar.
Says, hi, Foxy, Slack, and Jessie. I make this as short as possible, and then continues for 17 pages. No, it's not actually too bad. I'll make this as short as possible. Speaking of not being too bad, Slack, what do you think to the new layout of the doc?
There's a change?
Yeah, I've changed the font and the line spacing and increased the text size. Have you noticed?
I haven't been stuttering to read.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we always write on the PC and we read websites generally in what's called a sans serif font. So it's a font that doesn't have the little curly bits at the edges of the letters. But historically speaking, and has, things have been proven and researched, serif fonts that you would find in written books and things like that, and what people tend to read like on paperwork, is much easier for us to digest and much easier for us to read. And line spacing, obviously having a greater line spacing between each line, means the words are more separated and easier to visualize quickly. So I've changed the font to a serif font instead of sans serif. I've increased the line spacing and I've made the font slightly bigger. And so far, touch wood, fingers crossed, it feels better at least. If you go to the questions sheet, it's still the old type and it looks awful. So
I did. Yeah. Wow. That's yeah. Like looking at the questions sheet that they can't see, obviously.
Yeah.
That hurts my head. But this over here, I would feel comfortable reading these. You know, I'm still going to mess things up, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Thrar. I'll make this as short as possible. After dressing down over the length of my messages last week, sad face. My internet in last week's message regarding the LA was misconstrued. I in no way wanted to suggest my own opinion on its use or value of the... Oh, my goodness me. It didn't say internet either, Slack.
No, it was intent. Yeah.
Let me start from that one again. Oh, made it loads easy to read. Completely messes up the first line.
Please leave that in.
Okay. My intent in last week's message regarding the LA was misconstrued. I in no way wanted to suggest, in my own opinion, on its use or value in the game was the only opinion that mattered. I was hoping instead that you would take it as an opportunity to express and elaborate your own views on how useful it is or not in relation to single-player and multiplayer worlds. Apologies for this book, How to Express an Opinion and Raise an Idea in 3 to 4 short sentences, and apologies for the negativity in my previous message. It was portrayed to be. Cheers, Thra. Yeah, I think Jessie sort of brought that back last week when I read it, and I read it in a very negative way, and I think that was just the way that I interpreted the writing. It's very difficult to read intent in text, especially in a visual medium like text, because unless you're a published writer that's really, really good at expressing intent within their messages, you take it the way that you think it is just naturally. You don't even think about it. So I read it as negative, and Jessie was like, oh no, wait, but that's, it's an opinion, so don't not have an opinion. And that triggered me to say, oh, yeah, actually, no, keep things like that coming. Really appreciate the difference of opinions. So I do appreciate it, Troy. I didn't mean to tell you off or, dress you down. But thank you for clarifying, I guess.
You're doing that, and I read the next one here because I was like, and like I'm immediately going into pure defense mode, like ready to attack.
I agree with the next one because when I was editing the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, what's it's me, isn't it? Hinked.
Well, I can read it here. I can get it. It's from. How do you say that? Hint.
I always say hinked.
Hinked. All right. It says, "Hey gang, enchanting repairing 3. Isn't that mending? I like the grind of repairing the tools with mending in any XP farm that is available. But getting a small amount of XP from breaking blocks doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Keep up the great show, guys. Sincerely, Hinked." Yes, that's the official name. Like I immediately want to go on the defense here because who is it? Which one is it that streams? It's not Jeb, is it? I can't remember.
Sly Slime?
No, it's not Sly Slime. It might be Jeb. Oh, the one whose character is upside down. Jeb?
Oh, Dinnerbone.
Dinnerbone. Okay. Dinnerbone, literally, I was watching one of his streams one time, and he's like, the worst thing I ever did was create mending.
Yeah.
Literally, the guy who made it thinks it's one of the worst things that he did in the game. So, and I'm just like, you're complaining about, repairing the tool, and then somebody else has a different ideal on it and you're immediately down for it. But then again, that goes back to exactly what you just said. People are entitled to their views.
Yeah. I mean, I still agree that it's a good idea, but the thing I agree with is the fact that we basically came up with the mending enchantment. but without mending.
We were making it a universal, yeah.
We went from Unbreaking 3 to Unbreaking 6 is effectively what we did, but we called it repairing. I think Dinnerbone, when you develop something, when you're a developer and your heart and soul is in creating something, and you put something out that you don't really like or you don't agree with, or you see it you think it's good, and then you see it being used in a way that you weren't expecting to the detriment of what you were doing, it's very easy to have a negative reaction to that, which Dinnerbone's clearly done. But mending has made the game so much better for so many more people. So obviously Dinnerbone's got an opinion on how the game that he works on should be played, but that doesn't mean that's the right way to play it. And having mending has actually opened the game up to a lot more casual play styles, because there's less grind involved in a lot of ways now, which actually gives you more opportunity and scope to have more freedom in the survival game. So I think mending is absolutely fantastic. And if it was up to me, I would seriously have at least a toggle in game saying, do you want like durability on or off, so that you don't even have to worry about XP or mending or anything like that. We found when we had the furnace glitch, and we could just fix things instantly, it didn't make the game less fun. It didn't make people stop playing the game. It actually made life a lot easier, and you were able to achieve more, particularly on Bedrock Edition. For me, this is my personal opinion.
Right. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I would just be like, well, let's just give an option to take that out of the game. Let's not worry about XP. Let's just worry about gathering resources and building stuff and creating farms. And we can still make XP farms, but maybe make the use of XP for something else. I don't know. I'm
kind of the opposite about that. Like, now that they've taken the XP furnace away, like, it gives me an excuse to go other places. Like, before, I just have a furnace in my storage area, okay, my farming area. I'd never have to leave there. Now, when I start getting tools that are breaking or armor that needs repairing, I have to go to my guardian farm. So I traverse through the nether, and now I'm like, oh man, I need to do this nether tunnel, and I need to make this look good and this look good. It's forced me to get out of my base. And I love that. But I love that.
For me, that just means I have to spend an extra minute and a half going into the nether, walking down a hallway, standing there waiting for guardians to spawn, collecting my levels, and then going back to what I was doing. It's just another minute and a half's worth of wasted time. And that might not seem like much, but when you when you put hours and hours into a game, that's adding up. I don't go down the nether tunnel. Well, I do go down the nether tunnel thinking about what things I need to do at some point, but I don't need the game to remind me of those things. It's just all you've done is moved the source of XP further away. It's still the same. You still get the same amount of XP back from it. In fact, it's easier because you don't have to load it up with items.
Well, true, but at the same time, I pretty much stream everything now. So, like, that gives me a break from my project and a chance to engage with people. I've literally gotten where I record while I'm live now.
Well, which is fine, but that's like, again, content creators, very small use case for this thing. I'm just thinking of people in general. Anyway, we got loads of stuff to talk about today.
Okay, all right. Kentucky Hick here. Kentucky Hick up next here said, so a couple of weeks ago, we heard Slack's Kentucky accent. We've heard Foxy's American accent, as well as several different regional accents. Will we ever hear Jessiie do Valley Girl? Huh?
I'm so done with you.
No, she's not here. Love the podcast. I listen to it every week. Thanks for all you do for our communities, Kentucky Hick.
Yeah, sorry, Kentucky Hick. Maybe next time we'll remind Jessiie of this in the next podcast if she turns up for that one. Jeez, Windy Castle. Oh my goodness me, Windy Castle. It's like, just scroll to the very bottom of this document.
I done look. No. Wendy sent me like a 3-page book the other day on Discord too. I was like, Thanks a lot.
Hello, Princess Foxy, SlackLizard, and awesome Jessiie. Wow, you can see who the favorite is there. Windy Castle here. I listened to the previous podcast while having no Wi-Fi and decided to write my feedback in a text document. If I would lie, I would say I'm sorry, but I'm obviously not. I had much fun listening and writing my thoughts down. It is included in a file in this email. Right, and I'm not going to read it, but I included it in the document just for Slack and Jessiie to see. It is actually literally 3 full pages long. Windy Castle. Windy Castle, I really appreciate the time and effort you've put into writing that feedback, but there is absolutely no way I would ever even begin to read that on the podcast. I'm sorry. So thank you. We've read it. It's nice feedback. I like it, but I'm not reading it.
Yeah, it's too much to read on the podcast. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's way too much. Yep.
Okay, right. Moving on to the stuff from your Discord then. I'll let you read both of these.
Okay, from my Discord, the first one is from Coffee. I am on the right document, right? Yes, I am. It's from Coffee, aka No Name, Bad Name, according to you once upon a time. Yeah. Right, it says, Slack, Jessiie, and yes, you too, Foxy. Your podcasts have been truly entertaining, and I can't wait for each new one to come out. I like to share them with my family. It's a great time to laugh together. Thank you, and keep it up.
From __. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Coffee. Yep. Jeez.
And the next one is from, someone else you just tackled here last week, Redstone Dad, Mr. I'm Eager, Right. They said, thanks for having my back and sticking up for me in the podcast Slack with 3 exclamation points. 3.
Was I mean to Redstone Dad? I don't think I was mean to Redstone Dad, was I?
Not mean per se, but you were very energetic because they sent like 4 or 5 emails.
Oh. Well, I'll be why then. Right, okay, it is time to
if you would like to give us feedback.
Yeah, exactly. If you would like to give us feedback, then make sure to write an email to the theminecraftupdatepod@gmail.com. Don't forget to put feedback in your subject line. Hey, speaking of, by the way, we hardly got anything on YouTube this week, but it was all in the emails. That was really nice to see. So thank you very much, people, for using the emails. It does make life a lot easier than trying to copy and paste from YouTube comments. So I appreciate that. But if you do want to leave us it on YouTube, it's not a problem. And also, like we did again in our Discords too. Right, moving on from the feedback, it is time to get into the news. And because we missed last week's beta and snapshot because they were released a day late, we've got them to cover this week. But we are going to try very hard to fly through the ones we missed so that we can get onto this week's one and cover that in more detail. So there's a lot to go through. There's even more news on top of that as well. First of all, I'm actually going to start, Slack, with the last piece of news that's on our news section, which is the RTX on console update that basically, if you remember from the last podcast, the editor of The Verge put out a video of Minecraft Bedrock Edition on console, on Xbox, playing with RTX turned on. The beta version he was playing on was Minecraft 1.18.30.64, I think it was. And we wondered if it was an April Fool's or what was going on. Minecraft themselves have actually put out an official tweet to say the previous Minecraft preview build available to Xbox insiders inadvertently included prototype code for ray tracing support on Xbox consoles. This early prototype code has been removed from the preview and doesn't signal near future plans to bring any ray tracing support to consoles. So, Slack. This is a bit interesting.
Super duper graphics. Bye-bye.
No, I don't think that's this situation. I think clearly, if they've got internal versions that they're testing RTX on consoles for, and clearly it works because they released it to the public on accident, why would they not release it? Why would they not just go, hey, look, here's ray tracing on Xbox. There you go. You're welcome. If it works, clearly, without anything added into it, no special mods or tools or anything like that, there's got to be reasons, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a reason. Think of what ray tracing does to our computers that are built for this kind of stuff.
Well, you think it's going to start melting Xboxes?
Yes, most people do not. Most people have their Xbox crammed underneath their TV or in a little thing where it gets no air or nothing like that.
But other games have RTX on Xbox and it's fine. Loads of games do.
RTX and listen to your fans kick on your computer. Okay, now put it on a console that's shoved in a thing and closed up. look. Let's face a truth of fact here, okay? Bedrock is what probably makes them their most money. And we would probably say that the consoles make them the most. Let's be fair. Because you can't download packs there or do anything special with that. So it's the marketplace only. You don't want to start killing people's Xboxes that are probably one of your biggest sources of revenue.
I genuinely don't think that's the issue here. I can't believe that for a second, because otherwise, if that was the case, they wouldn't put RTX chips in the machines, and they certainly wouldn't allow them in other games as well if it was expected to multi-machine. Going back on that as well, I mentioned to you, and this is where that conversation from you just come from a while ago, that my computer was starting to scream just turning on RTX. Not even in the game, but even in the menus with Minecraft, right? And yours is doing the same thing. I then spent a lot of time fiddling with my PC BIOS settings, and I actually found that my graphics card was running on an 8 times 8 PCI speed rather than times 16, which it should do. Since changing it, I don't get any issues running RTX on Minecraft now. It is silent. In fact, most of the time, the fans on the card don't even spin. And it has been like that for video processing and other games and things as well. So that might be worth something checking on your PC, that you're running your graphics card at the right speed inside of the BIOS. Don't know why that would make a difference.
I totally understand. That'd be like running your RAM at like 12 or 1200 when it's 3200. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know why that would make it scream more and heat up more, but it clearly was having an adverse effect for mine, and it's been loads better since. So I'm less entitled to think, because of that experience as well, that that's the issue. I'm more thinking that they still won't, they've not mentioned any deal or anything with another company, which doesn't make sense, because you'd think if there was one, they'd talk about it. But it seems to me there's clearly some sort of deal or contract or conflict of interest somewhere that's stopping them from doing that. Or they are waiting to release the Xbox Series X Pro version with Minecraft RTX built in, because there's been rumors of an Xbox Series X Pro version already circling the
okay.
The internet.
So that here's another problem. Here's another problem. You can't get custom stuff onto your Xbox. Okay. You can't get custom packs and everything else.
Yeah, so you'd be stuck with
You can't sell just resource packs on the marketplace, can you?
You can, as long as it's a full resource pack. It has to significantly change every texture in the game, and there are RTX resource packs on the marketplace that were made by like Nvidia and Razzleberries and people like that are free. So there's no excuse. There's no
except for not everybody's Xbox is up to date.
Yeah, but they won't run unless they're up to date and online now. They won't launch the games half the time if you don't have your Xbox or updated. So
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about being up to date. I'm talking about some of the older ones. Some older ones, like there's the Xbox S, and then there's ones before that and stuff like that. Some of them older ones are not going to have the ability.
Yeah, this will only be this is only for Xbox Series X or Series S consoles that have the ray tracing chips in.
Okay, so what if I have one that doesn't have the ray tracing chip? Can I even run the game?
Yeah, you'll be running on the old, just Render Dragon without that turned on. Just like, if you're running a Windows 10 PC without an RTX card, a graphics card, you still run Minecraft. It just doesn't have the option for turning ray tracing on. It's exactly the same.
Then you're gonna have the PlayStation people screaming, "Where's our RTX?"
Well, that's true, yeah. But then if it works natively on Xbox, they use pretty much the same chips that are in PlayStations for graphics. So I can't see any reason why it wouldn't work on there either. It's bizarre. The whole thing's bizarre. To me, it just feels like there's a reason they're holding this back, and there's a reason they've put out an official statement to say that there's no plans to put it on consoles. Why not? Why? Of course. Why? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I
mean, it's like them limiting servers, just saying.
Yeah, but there's no financial benefit for them not releasing it on servers. In fact, there would be financial benefit of releasing it, because people would be like, oh, I'm going to buy Minecraft and turn RTX on my console,
Yeah, so I don't have to buy, I already own $600 console. That way I don't have to buy a $3,000 graphics card.
Yeah, or I've got a PC, but it doesn't have an RTX card, but I do have an Xbox sitting there, so I'll play RTX on. Yeah, it's just more sales. It makes sense. I don't get it. Right, anyway. Moving away from that and on to the first thing that we missed last week, which we didn't miss it. It was just delayed when it was released. So it was a beta, Minecraft beta 1.18.30.32, which is the last Minecraft 1.18 beta ever, apparently, unless I guess there's some major issues with 1.18 going forward. But as far as we're aware, because they've moved on to 1.19 now, that should have been the last one. And in that, they added the Warden, ancient cities, and there was a bunch of fixes. So I'm going to quickly go through the change log and we can discuss it on the way through like we did before, if you would like, Slack. So, first of all, in experimental features, the Warden, which I feel like we've covered the Warden so many times now. It really doesn't feel like there's much point in going into it.
Like, it could be in the game and I could care less right now.
Yeah, so it's it's exactly the same as what we've been seen before. So yeah, it's the Warden. I'm not going to go into it. The ancient city's the same. Apparently, though, I haven't seen this in the changelogs, but maybe I haven't read them well enough. But yeah, according to Azuma's video recently, they added a lot more structures to the ancient city, and some of them with like variable levels as well. So it feels more 3D. But for me, the entire thing's still way too flat. There's no terrain variation at all in terms of height. So it's the whole ancient city things just feel way too flat and weird to me. But regardless, they are there as well. And because everybody was complaining, we can't find them because we don't have locate biome command on Bedrock Edition. Don't worry, Slack, because you can do locate ancient city as the what's it called? Like you can do for temples and things like that.
Yeah, but it does no good when we go to the newest update that just came out and they're like, oh, we got the new swamps. And I go into the game and I type /locate and
yeah, I was going to you ruined my joke now. I was going to say that. The way we got mangrove biomes, but there's no locate biome command. So you can't find them. So they might not be. They might just be, oh, yeah, definitely there, mate. Yeah, promise.
Oh, they're there. I found one last night in the preview. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a little bit to talk about on that as well because I've been doing my video on that today. And yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that part of the news. Anyway, it says known issues. Ancient city structures can extend far beyond the deep dark biome, even though they start there. Aquifers can sometimes intersect with ancient city structures and submerge or destroy big chunks of the structure. I've also seen lava aquifers do that, and I've seen like what they call glow caves, lush caves intersecting with them. There's some weird terrain generation around them, but they're there, and according to this, it should all work as expected. In terms of the other stuff, there's not really much else that was in that beta other than a few fixes. So they fixed a crash that could occur there when getting hit by a falling block while wearing a helmet. They fixed entities disappearing when importing worlds converted from legacy console. I can't believe people are still doing that, but that, fair enough. Mobs with knockback resistance, i.e. the Ravager and Zoglin, now receive less knockback when hit by an Iron Golem. And they fixed end city feature generation in the end. So they're still fiddling with end cities for some reason. They've been doing that for a while now. The user interface, they fixed an issue where info and buttons did not appear for downloaded skin packs, and they have fixed and being unable to edit the emote wheel screen when using touch controls. So all in all, not a massive amount in there for the last beta of Minecraft 1.18. So that must signify that we're going to be getting Minecraft 1.18.30 very soon, or 0.40 or whatever number they decide to give it. What do you think the number's going to be, Slack?
42.
42. I thought you might say that. Geez, so yeah. Anything of note for that one?
No, it felt like you were saying that they were about to move on to the next one. No.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad that I've skipped through all of that, but we've read out Warden changelogs so many times now, it just seems pointless. If you want to see it, all of the changelogs are linked in the description below, so feel free to go through it. And of course, don't forget, if you want to see what's really changed, you can use my website comparison thing, because that's all up to date with the latest betas as well. So, moving on to the other one we missed, which was Minecraft Java Edition Snapshot 22W13A, in which they got the allay, which doesn't quite work the same as it did on Bedrock Edition. Shock horror, Slags. There's some disparity there. On Java Edition, the LA would throw things at a completely different angle, often very much missing the hoppers. They didn't, like on Bedrock, they throw it like they're playing basketball, whereas on Java, it's almost like they're pointing downwards, throwing them. They also float around the floor rather than high up in the sky, so they're much easier to get hold of and give items to, and they don't, they don't, I can't remember what I was going to say there. They're slower. So, they're much easier to deal with in general, it seems, apart from their throwing mechanic, which just means that you've got to redesign things that you made on Bedrock a little bit differently for that to work. Now, the developers did actually then say, I think it was on Twitter, I couldn't find the tweet this morning when I was looking for it for the news, that they are intentionally different and they want feedback for what they think players prefer, which is a really stupid thing to do, in my opinion, because they're just going to get...
the Java community is they're going to the content creators are going to be like, hey, go vote for this, and that's where everybody's going to go.
Yeah. For Bedrock Edition, players are going to be like, hey, the Bedrock Edition mechanics are better, and the very, very loud but tiny weeny Java Edition community, because that's where all the main content creators are just going to go, yeah, they pick this one. Okay, yeah. And so, that's like large communities in Java influencing the whole vote for a mob thing, which I think's a joke. I will no longer partake in those, because those are just nothing but split the community. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And I think in this situation, I mean, this sounds really negative for me to say so. It really does sound negative, and I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to anyway. I think they're going to go, oh, we're going to stick with the Java Edition ones because that's what everybody seems to want, because that's what Iskal asked for.
Yeah, somebody who, I'm sorry, and I'm going to chime in here. Who cares? I thought this was supposed to be an equal vote.
Yeah. No, sorry. But you know what I mean. That'll be the situation. And so Bedrock Edition just won't get changed. It'll get left as it is, and there'll be a disparity. Whereas if somehow miraculously they go, oh, actually, we're going to go with the Bedrock Edition mechanics because that's the one that's preferred, then Java Edition will just be instantly changed over to be exactly the same as Bedrock. So I think we're heading for some disparity with the LA there, which means if you've got LA tutorials for Java Edition, they're probably not going to work on Bedrock and vice versa, which is a bit sad, but let's hope I'm wrong.
Can hope, but at this rate, what you're saying, if the Java communities are the ones that all the people go, oh, this is the one we like because this is the one that has somebody who has millions of viewers, and that's what everybody in their comment section said. Well, the Bedrock community doesn't have that massive following. It just feels like, even though there's more people that play Bedrock, it's more people. Anyways, right, moving on.
Moving on. Anyway, yeah. So basically, it says that the changelog for the LA is the same as everything else. So I'm not going to read it out because we know about it. Anyway, then there's the ancient cities. The ancient cities have been added to this snapshot, and in chests guarded by skulk sensors and shriekers, you can find the new swift sneak enchantment. You can also find a new mysterious block called reinforced deep slate here, which cannot be obtained in survival. Mobs cannot spawn in ancient cities, and it says differences compared to the experimental deep dark snapshot. Many adjustments have been made to ancient cities with new and tweaked structures. Loot tables have been adjusted for ancient cities, including a separate loot table for the icebox structures. So there's different types of loot, and there's actually we're going to go into obviously the next snapshot changelog very, very soon, which they've added even more loot to and a whole new item. So we'll get into that in a moment. Then there's changes for the chest, furnace, and TNT hoppers are now, or minecarts with chest, furnace, TNT hoppers are now shapeless recipes, which makes sense. And this is another bit of disparity, which I wish we had on Bedrock. When you break a minecart chest or hopper or something on Java Edition, it drops the single item of the minecart chest with, the minecart with the chests in it, the minecart with the chests in it. Why can I not say that, Slack?
The minecart with the chest and or hopper inside of it. Still one item instead of giving us both the minecart and the hopper or chest.
Yeah, and it does the same thing with chest boats as well. So you get your chest boat back rather than having to recraft it. And I think that should happen on Bedrock Edition as well, but they don't. So it'd be interesting to see which way either of those go there for parity. And it says only wool and wool carpets now block the sounds coming from note blocks. So note blocks have had a big overhaul. If you've got note blocks in your redstone farm and you used to put a block of any type above them to silence them, that's no longer going to work. You're going to need to change that with wool or carpet to shut them up. So make sure you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of very annoying dinging redstone farms. So, yeah. Then oh, sorry.
No, I said good talk.
Good talk, yeah. We got some new triggers on Java Edition to do with the Skulk Shriekers and things like that. There's some new game events, and there's a whole lot of bug fixes as well, which I'm not going to go into. If you want to check all of those out, you can check that out on the changelog. Oh, it does say it. Boats with a chest do not drop items contained in the chest when destroyed in creative. Oh, okay. I thought that was to do with what we were just talking about there, but it's not. That's just a bug that's been fixed. Right. Yep. Okay, moving on from that snapshot back to Minecraft Bedrock Edition and the first 1.19 beta, which is Minecraft 1.19.0.21. And in that, we have the Mangrove Swamp biome, if you can find it, allay tweaks, skulk sensor tweaks, bug fixes, parity fixes, and even more useful commands and features for map makers. So there's an awful lot of stuff that's gone into this. It's absolutely ridiculous. And to start with, we're going to talk about the wild update features, which are no longer hidden behind the experimental toggle. They are just in the beta as standard. And that includes the Mangrove Swamp biome, which has the mangrove tree feature, the mangrove propagule base functionality, mangrove roots, muddy mangrove roots, added all of the mangrove wood types, mud blocks, mud brick blocks, packed mud, and then it goes on for other things as well. But, Slack, did you know? Even though they've added in the mangrove wood and all of the wood variants, the mangrove tree still generates with oak wood.
No, I didn't know that. I hadn't.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well done, guys. Good job. Also, have you said you've been to one on your preview? Did you notice how ridiculously tall the mangrove roots are on Bedrock Edition compared to Java Edition?
Insane. Like, I thought for a minute, I didn't realize that I was looking at the roots. I was like, why is this tree like transparent like leaves? And then I got to looking and I finally seen the tree part of it, which was like 15 blocks higher in the air.
Yeah, and there's like 2 trunk blocks. Yep. Loads and loads of leaves. Loads of roots. They're so broken on Bedrock Edition. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's happened there, but that seriously needs some work. So yeah, I looked at the feature set for the feature files for the mangrove tree, and it does quite clearly state that the trunk block is made out of oak. So good job there, guys. A little bit of a tweak to make there, I think. Yeah, geez. What do you think to these propagules then, Slack? Have you played with those at all?
To the what?
The saplings that grow naturally on the tree. So you can get a propagule or the mangrove tree sapling, plant it underwater or on the land, bone meal it, it will grow, and it will grow a full tree with these new saplings already growing on it. So you don't need to harvest the leaves or anything to get the saplings. They're just growing on the tree, kind of like cocoa beans, but on the leaves themselves.
I think it's an interesting concept to it. I haven't experimented with it. I seen it in somebody's video here a couple weeks ago. I guess it was in the Java snapshot version of it. It's a different approach. It's a different approach to how to get the saplings back. But is there absolutely no chance of it dropping from a leaf itself?
I actually don't know that. I would like to test that. And also, while we've been talking about this, I wonder if it's possible to have like a farm, like a cocoa bean farm. You just put cocoa beans on jungle wood, and then you can either use pistons or water to get rid of them. Can we put these things onto... I suppose you don't need to, do you? Because they're not dropping anything other than themselves. So you're growing them into a tree. So
what if you hit them with fortune, though? Does it produce more?
I don't know. I don't know if there is a way to farm them other than keep growing more and more trees, which would probably kind of get a bit annoying considering it's 99% roots and leaves. You're not getting much back for it. Jeez.
Unless it works like the Netherwoods and just eats any block that's around it.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, lots of testing needs doing with these mangrove trees. But, I mean, assuming that they do fix these giant roots and tiny trees made of oak issue, I think they're quite a nice addition to the game.
My only problem is the biome itself. The mud is just
Yeah, I went to a world, and I managed to find 4 of these things within 50,000 blocks of spawn, and 3 of them were just ridiculously tiny. One had no mud at all, and it had 1 tree. One was on the side of a mountain, and the mud was going up the mountainside, and there was nothing at the bottom. And one of them had a little bit of mud, a couple of trees, and none of them were next to swamps. None of them were next to, there was no swamps anywhere nearby. It was just, one was next to a mountain, one was next to a jungle, and the other one was in the middle of the ocean. So it's...
I found one that was kind of on the edge of the ocean, but it had mud. And of course, it was a pretty small biome, but the mud is just so ugly. It looks like sewage water. I'm sorry, but that's exactly what it looks like. It's like, no, it looks nasty. Ugh.
It's really, really jarring compared to everything else it's next to, isn't it? There's no transition block between that and anything else. So I agree with you there. And the thing I did like though is I put a campfire down, and the rooted mud block. You know, when you get those anyway naturally, but you can craft mud and the mangrove roots to make these blocks as well. They look a little bit like, you know, coaly, woody bits that you might have expected to fall off your campfire. So putting a couple of those around your campfire base kind of works as a little campsite. So that's quite nice. And they don't look too awful next to Podzol, although it is a bit jarring still because that mud is just so dark. So
yeah, it literally looks like gray water. And I don't know why. It's like, can we change the color to look like mud? I mean, how does it literally, like, I could go all over the world and find different colored mud. Did you have to use the ugliest mud that looks like gray water out of a septic tank?
Yeah, it does. It doesn't look good, does it? So I don't know. There has been a lot of feedback by the looks of things on Twitter of people saying it's not a nice block, but I haven't heard anyone from development teams tweeting back going, we know it's awful, so we're going to fix it. So we'll see about that. The mud sounds, have you walked through it? It's kind of a bit gross.
No.
I don't like it. It's a little bit spider noise, but not quite that bad. They also sink into it like you do Soul Sand, but you don't slow down. So I kind of feel like you should slow down. Maybe not as much as on Soul Sand, but if you're sinking into mud, you should slow down a bit. Surely.
Oh yeah, you should be dragging your boots or like pulling your boots off or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And maybe that'd be good. If you walk through mud, your boots come off. They get stuck to the mud. That'd be amazing. That'd be so funny. Yes, please add that.
Suddenly you turn around, you're like, you go to jump and you fall, and you turn around and your boots are just laying there despawning. Yeah.
Yeah. The changelog also says that they've added mud block renewability. Now, I haven't actually played with this. I think the idea is if you use water on a dirt block, it should turn into mud. And on Java Edition, they showcase that with dispensers doing that as well. I haven't tried it on Bedrock. I don't know if that works.
No. What happens if you like have an underwater area that's like at the bottom of the ocean and there's dirt and it's all going to turn to mud? I'm going to suddenly be seeing septic water everywhere in Minecraft?
I don't think that. I think it has to be player interaction. I think. I don't know. I have to check that one because we don't want all that. That'd be awful. Just mud everywhere. No, take it back. Jeez.
Suddenly the bottom of your riverbeds all look like just gray water.
I know. I tell you what, that mud block would be good for though. You mix that with coal blocks, and you've got a lovely like volcano thing going on. Really dark, sort of charred, cooled magma-y look to it, and especially with smooth basalt as well. I think you could make really nice volcanoes out of those. I mean,
let's be picky here. Why couldn't they make the mud like the copper? You know, the longer it's out of water, the more it dries out.
I think you can dry it, can't you? I think there was a way of drying it. If you put it on top, I don't know if they've added this in, but it was on the Java snapshot. If you put it above a dripstone block with a dripstone underneath it, like you do, you know how you put water above them to fill up a cauldron? If you put the mud on top of one, it'll turn into dirt. Why? Why do we? Okay. But yeah, apparently that's possible kind of to do, but you'd have to just lay it all on dripstone. Anyway, moving on from ugly mud, the mud brick blocks, not too bad actually. And the packed mud, although it looks kind of a little bit weird, I kind of like them. They couldn't be further away though in terms of texture. Like the color, you've gone from this really dark sludgy mud, and then all of a sudden you've got this like really pinky, like hearing aid gray, like brown, like blocks. So And they look quite nice. They're quite soft in comparison. So it's such a disparity there between the textures. Like, why? Surely there's some middle ground there to make them sort of closer to each other, do you think?
You would think, but no.
Like, packed mud block. I mean, to me, if you've got mud blocks dark, packed mud should be really dark.
Oh, it should be insanely dark, yeah.
But packed mud just looks like sepia tone gravel.
I have a feeling there's going to be some custom texture packs for some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Anyway, moving on from the mangrove and the mud, the allay has been changed with some very nice changes in this particular version. It can now be leashed if it's already holding an item, which is fantastic, which means actually capturing one of the bleeding things is going to be much easier. Shoving it out of the way and stopping it flying in your face, that is a very welcome change. They can now be named by a name tag if it's already holding an item. So basically, when it's holding an item, that's the allay's way of being tamed, I guess. They have initial sounds. I don't know what that means. And they move more slowly when not attempting to follow its owner and will only start following its owner from a further distance before. So I think there's some very welcome changes to its behavior and pathfinding. I'm yet to see those in game. I'm looking forward to actually playing with those to see how that changes. But yeah, very nice changes. Thank you very much. Any thoughts on those?
No. Very nice changes.
Good. The frogs, Slack, can no longer croak while eating mobs. This is good news because there was a lot of frogs just choking to death when I played the game before, and now they don't choke to death anymore, which is good news.
Oh God! Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there was an animation. They don't choke to death, really. It's a joke. There's an animation that makes them croak randomly. They've just stopped that while a frog's eating, which is, makes sense, I guess. And then gameplay. They fixed bugs where wardens temporarily could miss noticing vibrations. Allies could miss noticing that no blocks were being played. If only they could fix a bug that made observers miss observing things. But no, unfortunately, that's not in here. Stop the warden from getting angry at itself and inanimate mobs. Good job, warden. So amazing. Good job. So, I mean, that would have been a fun one to play with, wouldn't it? Here's an Ava stand, watch it get really upset. Oh, now it's angry at itself. The darkness effect now has a black distance fog, similar to how blindness effects work. So, obviously, that's going to make it slightly less jarring. And also, it's not in this bit, it's a little bit further down. But speaking of darkness, they've actually added a strength slider in the accessibility settings, so that you can change how dark the screen actually gets during the effect, which I think is absolutely fantastic for people with visual impairments, clearly, content creators that want people to be able to actually see the content they're putting out, and people with dimly lit screens. You'd be surprised how many people just have a screen that's probably, not very bright to begin with, or maybe play with the brightness down because, well, for whatever reason they do. Or, when you've got a window, there's daylight. That makes it harder to see some screens, doesn't it? So I think that's a really welcome change.
Kind of very welcome, very, very welcome. Like the ability to toggle off motion blur and stuff like that. Yeah, that's some people that literally make them sick.
Yeah, and parrots, Slack. They now imitate the warden, and I bet that really cheeses it off. The warden does have a new angry listening sound, and it has updated sounds and custom death and hurt sounds. And it says, allow warden to preserve anger level towards despawned entities for some reason. So it stays mad even if something's despawned. And it says, fixed eroded badlands biome placement error that caused it to fragment. So that's a lot of fixes with the warden there. So that's interesting. The skulk sensors can now detect a much wider range of vibrations. They can detect players sneaking on top of them, players shooting an arrow while sneaking. Oh, no, they don't detect, players shooting an arrow while sneaking anymore. They will detect players falling in lava, players sneaking in water, landing projectiles, containers being opened and closed, candles being placed, lit or unlit, players eating food and drinking potions. They can also detect goat horns being played, big drip leads changing their state. However, I still think it's somewhat lacking with Java Edition. I'm not sure exactly how many triggers or events there are for the skulk sensor on Bedrock, but on Java Edition, there's over 40 different ones I was looking at today. And I think Bedrock is still like around about 12 or 13 or something like that. So, yeah, still a bit of disparity there, but it's nice to see it getting some love.
Yeah. If only you get just a little bit more attention, just saying.
Speaking of goat horn, Slack, I figured out something today that I hadn't realised before. And I didn't see it documented anywhere, but I was fiddling with the goat horn for the introduction of the video that I'm currently working on. And I noticed that when I crouched, it made a completely different sound. So I picked a goat horn, it was actually a copper horn, that when I played it, it made a nice like tune. And I thought, oh, that'd be nice, tune to add at the intro for my video. And then I crouched and did it, and it just made a big fart noise, which was amazing. It really made me laugh. And I don't know if I didn't get any other copper horns out to see if any of the other ones made that sort of noise as well. But I just thought that was hilarious.
Didn't know that was a thing. That's
So yeah. Right, okay. There's a bunch of graphical fixes in this update as well. The Warden has had its arms, bottom, face, didn't have bioluminescent colours. Apparently dog's ears have been spun round. Llamas have fixed bugs where the spit comes from above their head. So all of that's been done. Fences and walls no longer connect to bells. Touch controls have had some updates as well. And there have been some updated block textures, better transition between end portal frame, side texture, and end stone, apparently. And yeah, updated mycelium side texture to match other dirt paste textures. There are a bunch of changes to the Wandering Trader. The Wandering Trader no longer opens and closes doors. They will now randomly move around, which is nice to see, rather than just being dragged around by the llamas. They match Java Edition's drinking sounds now, apparently, and they even have disappear and reappear sound effects when they go invisible and then become visible again. And they can now be named with a name tag, although I wouldn't recommend naming one with a name tag because it will not prevent it from despawning. And obviously, as soon as it despawns, it's going to, what a waste of a name tag, basically. There's been some stability and performance updates and some user interface updates. Villagers will no longer begin sleeping while riding something near a bed. And there's a whole bunch of technical stuff. Now, a couple of ones that stood out for me technical-wise, Slack. Are you falling asleep there, bud?
No. I'm looking. I've lost where you're at on the thing.
I've gone down to item components. Added new data-driven item component, Minecraft Chargeable, allows the item to be charged like apples or bows when use action is held on complete, trigger executed when the item's use duration is completed. So basically, when we've been making maps and things or packs for Bedrock before, if we wanted to mimic like a bow being charged or something like that, it was really fiddly and difficult to do, and it didn't always work. Because all of the items, the only control we've got on things that are not in experimental mode is the ability to eat them or consume them. So having this now means packs and stuff that, well, they'll be able to make more things better with items without needing experimental features. Having said that, the experimental features for items work really nicely. They've been in experimental mode for getting on for 2 years now. I don't understand why they've not been come out of experimental mode, because then that would be completely redundant. But I guess that means things are going to be staying in experimental a little bit longer. What else have we got in there? Loads of stuff. Spread players command will now avoid more hazardous locations. Fix some crashing on marketplace worlds, and that's pretty much it. Unless you want to get super
data
technical.
Parameter.
Say again?
Can't sleep while riding?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you can literally get on a horse and sleep in a bed at the same time. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the same one for the villagers as well, to stop them from being able to do that. Right. Okay. That is enough of that beta version there. So it's nice to see we are now working towards 1.19 on Bedrock Edition, and that does slightly concern me, Slack, that Bedrock Edition feels very much like not Bedrock Edition, both, I guess, very much feels like 1.19 is around the corner, and that concerns me somewhat.
It feels like it's not ready.
Yeah, it feels like, A, it's not ready, and B, there's a lot missing. So we're going to get onto the next Java Edition snapshot in a second, which I'm going to spoil a Slack. It includes a brand new item called the Recovery Compass, which you get by using something that you get from the ancient cities loot called echo shards, and you put the echo shards around a compass and it turns into a recovery compass, which point to the last place you died so you can go and find your stuff, which is a great idea. Lovely item. Surely they could make an item that actually pointed to the ancient city. Because they're so hard to find. Why? It's like there's two ideas and they've gone, oh no, there's a good idea and they've gone off in two different directions with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, people can't find the ancient cities. Let's make a new compass that points to something else.
That one concerns me. How's that going to work on Bedrock? I mean, was it adding tags to the items? What's it recording? Is it keeping the area loaded?
I imagine there'll be a tag somewhere for the player's last point of death that will probably be held in the database or the level that file with the player inventory stuff, and it will just point to that, I guess. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem for them adding in on Bedrock. I just think that, yeah, I was really expecting by now to know more about these these portal frame blocks and have a way to actually find the ancient cities. But like the last few tweets that they've been sending out, they're like, we know they're rare to find, but how much fun have you had finding ancient cities? None. No fun. You can't find them. It's
like trying to find a mangrove swamp without the locate biome command.
Yeah, we can use commands to find the ancient cities, but actually finding one in survival, I still think it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. How do you just decide to go start digging somewhere without using some sort of online tool like Chunkbase or using commands in game? How are you naturally supposed to go and find one? It's not possible. If that's the intentional mechanic, it's wrong. And it's massive oversight, because otherwise they keep saying they're trying to make the game more and more obvious to play, make it so that you don't need to use external sources and wikis and things, so that it's all there within the game and there's all of these instructions and things within the game. And then they go and do something like this, which it's impossible.
I would almost argue for a moment that there are other structures that you kind of need to find, but you don't have a way to, like fortresses and bastions. But the Nether is more open. Yeah, they stand out. It's more open. It's not like it's buried deep down underground. Yeah.
Yeah. Buried deep down underground through the hardest blocks in the game that you can't insta-mine even with the beacon. And they are, often tens of thousands of blocks apart. It is literally like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But the haystack is the size of a planet.
It's like trying to blindly find a mansion buried underground.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Hopefully there'll be a villager that would trade you, like even a map. Even if a villager traded you a map for it, this is where one's located.
Yeah, that would make sense. But again, no signs of that. And that would be the obvious thing. If that's the route that we're going to go down, why hide that and leave it until last to do it? You'd just do it, wouldn't you? Or at least you'd be talking about it. So they've either got something else that they haven't showed us yet that's going to be coming soon, or that's it. They're just expected to just toddle off and find them or cheat. I don't know. It's so bizarre. Anyway, KingBDogz tweeted to say, tell us what you think about the new recovery compass. We're hoping it improves how rewarding it feels to obtain ancient city loot. Despite that, how do you feel about it? Will you use it? If so, how? What situations would you use instead of just trying to remember? I think it's a really good idea. I think something like that's been missing from the game for a long time. People have often wondered, if there was something that they could do to be able to find their stuff. I get asked a lot, certainly. Can you make a resource pack or an add-on that shows you where you last died so that we can find our stuff? I think that's absolutely fine and it's very welcome. I know there'll be a lot of people thinking it's a little bit OP, and particularly one of those people was Iskal85, who replied to that tweet saying, very cool, but it needs to be consumed per use, so echo shards continue to have value. Mending bad, permanent bad, love you. Now, I couldn't disagree with Iskal more on this one. I think the fact that ancient cities are so rare and that, you need 4 of these echo shards to make one of these echo compasses, and multiplayer servers exist, and ancient cities are rare. Did I mention that? I think I don't think that they should be single use, because otherwise you're going to get one use out of it and it's gone. It's not like a totem that you can just go and fight another raid.
You don't know. It might be something that becomes that farmable. How
can it be farmable if an ancient city, once you've took the loot from it, it doesn't regenerate, does it?
Well, who knows what's eventually going to come, you know?
Well,
It may become farmable in the future, but I can see both ways with that. I can see both ways, you know. I can see, but first the problem is finding the ancient city. You're oh yeah, you can find a way to get your stuff back when you've died. How many times are people going to blindly die trying to get the things to see where their stuff is after they've died?
Well, yeah, I think the assumption there is that, you know, this is useful once you've already got one, not, you know, oh, I've died, let me go and find an ancient city so I can go and get a compass to find out where I left my stuff. But yeah, it's easy to say we don't know what's coming and we don't know what's going to happen, but that's just assuming that things are going to change. We can only comment really on things that are in front of us that we have and what people have said rather than trying to speculate. I mean, it'd be nice to say, oh, wouldn't it be great if, and wouldn't it be great what? But you can't go, well, I don't agree with that because if they change it in the future, then it'll be different.
Here's another prime example too. You want to say mending bad, then don't use mending.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Jeez.
You have a choice. You don't like the stuff that happens in the marketplace. Guess what? You don't have to use the marketplace.
Exactly. Right. Anyway, getting into this snapshot on the changelog, they have added clay renewability as well, Slack, which is nice. They've also added mango tree, swamp biomes, and the echo shard and the recovery compass. Clay renewability. Placing mud above a block that has pointed dripstone underneath will eventually turn the mud block into clay. So I was wrong. It doesn't turn it into dirt, Slack. It turns it into clay. So there we go. We've got a way of making clay now. That's nice. Just going to need all of the dripstone in the world and lots of that horrible mud that you don't like, which means you've got to find a mangrove biome, which is impossible.
Good talk. Yeah, good talk. Yeah. Do they have mangrove wood on their trees, or is it still oak?
That's a good point. I don't know. I haven't looked. There's no mention. It says we've introduced a new type of water adapted tree that spawns propped up on roots, have a chance of spawning a bee nest, grows on mangrove grows from mangrove propagules.
I've seen that in the that was interesting because in the preview, the world that I loaded where I finally found a mangrove thing, I noticed there was a lot of bees, bee nests.
Loads of bees, and all of the ones I went to were swarming with bees. Yeah, I think they've really done overkill on the chance of the mangrove trees spawning with the bees. I think they're way too regular. It's almost like it's every single tree. So, yeah, but there's no mention there of the actual mangrove wood in that, but I would assume there is because it's Java Edition and I can't imagine
that's the favorite child.
I wasn't going to say that. I was just going to say I find it very odd that on that edition they would bother putting out the tree without the actual proper wood type on it, because generally speaking, when they add things, they're normally at a very, a good state of being done rather than early day stuff. But
are you trying to say that the community over there would raise all kinds of cane if it didn't?
No, not at all. No.
But we on Bedrock just accept it because we're, the neglected stepchild.
Mangrove Swamp, murky, muddy, magnificent. Welcome to the newest biome, the Mangrove Swamp, located in warmer, more humid places where you'd normally find the swamp biome in Minecraft. Here you can find bees and warm frogs. The floor of this biome is coated with a thick layer of mud, so be sure to pack your best boots. Have a nice boat ride under and around the larger-than-life roots of mango trees. Now, it's interesting there, Slack, that they mentioned bees and warm frogs, because on Bedrock Edition, again, looking at the actual game files for the Mangrove Swamp biome, there is no monster spawn in there, and there is no, it doesn't mention passive mobs specifically, and the frog spawn rules file for frogs just says biome swamp. So Mangrove Swamp doesn't actually have a swamp tag in it either, so it's not classed as a swamp. So frogs cannot naturally spawn in the mangrove biome on Bedrock Edition.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Notice that Java Edition actually gets the right variant of frogs spawning in that biome as well. On Bedrock, obviously, well, I assume it will be the right biome that spawns there if one could spawn there, but one can't spawn there, so we'll never know.
Look, these are being released at the same time. Why is there such a big disparity between the two versions?
I don't know, because it's two different teams working on it.
They're in development at the same exact time.
Yeah, but one's in Sweden and one's in the US. Although they did say, again recently, that they've got the same teams in the same places working on the same stuff. So I don't understand that either. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how they can be so different from each other, but they are, and they continue to be. Something like that's just got to be an oversight, though, surely, or just something. I know these are betas, they work in progress. It's not finished. We shouldn't judge them, but we do because we've seen it before and we know they don't change.
I mean, literally, they've stated, okay, so we're like what was it? Oh my God, you were like the LAs with one Java's done this way, Bedrock's done this way. Which way do you like? Okay, if you're intentionally doing that, say you're intentionally doing that for everything. Don't make it look like it's just. Oh, shut up, Slack. Shut up.
Right. Okay. The recovery compass. A new recovery compass can be crafted with echo shards, which can only be found and are unique to ancient city chests. Unlike normal compasses, the recovery compass will point to the last place you died. If you are not in the dimension you last died, or you haven't died yet in your world, it will randomly spin. It can be crafted with one compass surrounded by 8 echo shards, not 4, sorry, I was wrong about that, 8 echo shards, which can be found in ancient cities. The warden will now get angry at all living mobs that bump into it, not just players. So notice it says living there, Slack. So maybe it doesn't get angry at undead mobs. Now, originally, the warden was supposed to be an undead mob, but they changed it so that it's not undead. And now the warden and the wither will fight each other, which is interesting. Right. There's a whole bunch of more technical stuff for Java Edition. Many, and it gets very complicated, and I don't think I really want to read it. So, yet again, if you want to find that out, check out the change logs. The links are in the description below. We've also got a whole bunch of bugs, which, again, I'm not going to jump into because there's so many of them and we will literally be here all day. So, Slack, unless you can quickly scan through and see anything that you want to shout out there, I think we'll move on to the next piece of news. Believe it or not, peeps, there is actually a little bit more news. And that, in fact, there's 2 pieces. One of them I should know more about and I don't. And the other one I don't know much about and I shouldn't. So, starting with the one that is the most obvious, and that is that for Minecraft April Fools, they yet again released a brand new April Fools snapshot for Java Edition called Minecraft One Block at a Time, which completely removed the player inventory. So they basically made a joke saying, we've had that many complaints about player inventory, this is the best way to fix it, and they just got rid of it, which meant that they completely redesigned the game that you can only literally, you're both hands on screen and you can only hold one thing at a time. If it's a block, you can throw it or place it and you can pick up entities. And like if you held a chicken, you can actually fly with it it was crazy. I've seen a couple of clips of it, but I haven't seen much more than that. Do you know much about this, Slack?
Beardstone's been playing it, and I've watched a few other people play it. Bruno's been playing it. Like, some people are like trying to do speed runs with it and everything. And it just baffles me the amount of, you say it as a joke. Okay, they went in and they removed this and they removed that. They've made everything mineable by hand. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can go in and mine an obsidian frame.
Yeah.
Okay. Or sorry, a portal frame and move it to wherever you want to. They made it where like you can throw mobs, you can pick them up, you can throw them, you can slow fall with chickens, you can do all these things. And like, was this really thrown together like instantly? Yeah, we got the game. I'm really salty right now. I probably shouldn't be, but I'm just annoyed over disparity at this moment. Yet you could come out with an April Fool's version of the game that people are playing nonstop right now with no inventory. You can do a complete overhaul as a joke.
It is ridiculous how much work they've put into it. I can't imagine it was done quickly. I think they must have worked on it for quite a long time because it looks pretty, from the clips I've seen, it looks pretty like smooth. It doesn't look broken. It doesn't look awful. Just to give you an idea of what's in there, I'm reading through the page from the Minecraft website, and it says features, gameplay, fixed all inventory issues by removing the inventory, made the whole world into a player inventory space, up to 14 quintillion inventory slots, also removed experience and enchanting while we're at it, fixed MC4 by having no items on the ground, dropper drops, droppier drops, improved chest excitement factor, added the ability to throw stuff, glass is 50% more realistic when thrown, added wrestling moves as an alternative to leashes, reworked combat because it's hard to create more immersive gameplay experience, sneaky block, what sneaky block. So it's obviously just silly, but it is a full working version of the game yet again that they've done for April Fools. And yeah, I can imagine they've must have spent hours working on this stuff. And if they can do all of that in a short amount of time, why it takes so long to do proper Minecraft, mate?
Why no fix, please?
Yeah, I mean, they've even gone to the depths of villager trading's completely changed. How mobs can hold each other's completely changed. Villagers, absolutely ridiculous. So I really like the idea of this. And if I wasn't so stuck into Elden Ring at the moment, I think I'd probably be playing it too. But unfortunately, I haven't. So I don't have a great deal of news or input on this. So if you want news or input on this, I believe, like Slack said, Bruno has been playing it. Mr. Beardstone has been playing it. And I also think Pixelrist has been playing it. He certainly did a big video on it with a couple of other people. So I'm sure he's got a lot to talk about with that. I imagine that'll be on the Spawn Chunks podcast if you want to listen to that as well.
Also, if you've played it, let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Please do that. Leave us some feedback and some information in the comments or on the email if you've got any information on that. Right, okay, last piece of news then, Slack. The last piece of news is that Minecraft Dungeons is getting a Luminous Night update.
Huh?
Makes you excited, doesn't it?
Maybe I need to click this and see what it means.
It says, time to shine in Minecraft Dungeons' second seasonal adventure. Grab all of your spare torches, flashlights, the $5 disco ball you haven't used since that awkward school dance in 6th grade. The Dungeons team has inexplicably removed several light bulbs in the Mojang Studios offices, as it is likely your fuse box is next. While this sinister prank left us all in the dark for a while, we now know it was part of a much darker scheme, or maybe theme, a new update. We hope you're allowed to stay up until the wee hours because Luminous Night, Minecraft Dungeons' second and possibly darkest seasonal adventure, will launch on April the 20th with a plethora of new luminescent features. Explore the tower by night, full of new, fresh floors that include everything from mysterious murals to perplexing puzzles to the wildfire, a fiery foe that may prove too hot to handle for even the most seasonal adventures. Tread lightly as it prefers opponents well done. Just like the previous season, there are plenty of new rewards to earn. Rewards that look particularly stylish during the night. Skins, capes, emotes, and flares will light up your surroundings with a luminescent light, while new adorable pets such as the Ministrosity and Abomination will light the fire in your heart. You might also appreciate the new quality of life features coming, such as the highly anticipated storage chest that will bring order to your chaotic inventory. Now, I like the sound of that. More nitty-gritty information and deep dives into the upcoming update. Make sure you keep your eyes glued to the Minecraft Dungeons site or put that disco ball to good use with the celebration dance. Stay tuned. Your seasonal adventure continues in Luminous Night. So that sounds... doesn't really give us a great deal of information there. No. Other than it's going to be dark and, like neon, I guess.
Neon flashing lights is what I get from that, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm really interested from that, although it doesn't say that in the article, but a couple of the developers again have mentioned on Twitter that it's actually going to have do you remember the Mob D, the original Phantom Vote Mob D, which was like the Blaze thing?
The Blaze King.
Yeah, that's being added to Dungeons. That's going to be in there. I don't know if that's what they were mentioning there, the one that likes things well done. But yeah, that's going to be in there. So that'll be interesting.
Oh. Might give me an excuse. I've been thinking about downloading that and playing it again.
Yeah, I had such a good time playing Dungeons recently until everything else literally in the world came along. So I think that might definitely make me sort of jump back in for a couple of extra rounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I haven't played. Honestly, last time I played was when me, you, and Silent streamed it.
Wow, really? Jeez, okay. That was a long time ago. Very long. Jeez, that's a very long time ago. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, unless you've got anything else to add to the news section, Slack, that is it from me.
No, that's it from me on news.
In which case, we're now going into the Bugdate section, and we have had a lot of feedback of bugs from people rather than from animals, which is nice, because when the animals leave the Bugdate feedback, it's all kind of weird. Although the first person is Squirrelicious, the second person is Rotated Owl Face, so maybe it is more animals.
And the next
people.
one's a pirate.
Yeah. Pirates don't count because they're pirates.
Exactly, right. I'm really shocked because these people are actually including like ticket
bug numbers.
Things. The bug
well,
numbers.
There was one, Slack, and I'm going to read it. It's on my Discord. You just bear with me a second because I didn't put it in the document because I wasn't planning on reading it, but it did make me laugh. And I did respond to them to explain why it won't be making it onto the podcast. And it was from Waffles. It said, a bug I encountered farming potatoes. You can't compost poisonous ones, making them more useless than ever. Same with rotten flesh. You should be able to compost both, in my opinion. Raw meat should compost as well, since it's basically flesh that hasn't been cooked or rotted. Feels like devs missed the boat on so many things, even years after Village and Pillage came out. Anything organic should be compostable. That's a word. Trust me, don't bother looking it up. So clearly not a bug there. That's just how the game works. But it's a nice piece of feedback, I guess. I agree with them. I do think you should be able to compost poisonous potatoes and rotten rotten flosh kind of makes sense as well. Sugarcane, yeah. So that all makes sense, but it's not a bug. A bug is, if your opinion on the game isn't the same as the developers, that doesn't necessarily mean there's a bug. That's
tell that to the people submitting tickets about the cheaty furnace. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I've had a add-on request. Can you bring back the cheaty furnaces with an add-on? No, it's not possible, mate. Sorry about that. Jeez. Right. The first bug then from Squirrelicious says, bug NCPE 152386. This one is just hilarious, in my opinion. Mojang has handed villagers fireworks to use at the end of the raid without teaching them basic safety principles. Or maybe this is another example of the villagers' utter stupidity. They're using the fireworks indoors, putting themselves and their children at risk. People are dying. Also messes up raid farms. Jeez, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that. I just did a raid yesterday for a video that's coming out Friday. And the villagers did shoot off fireworks when the raid was over now. Wow, I just now...
Man, I wasn't aware of this until I read these. And then I watched Silent's latest Bugdate video. Bugdate. That's our thing. Bug Rock of the Week video. And it was so funny. If they've got like a glass block above their head, or basically a non-transparent block, like stairs or slabs or something, they don't register that they've got a block above their head. So they will just fire off a firework. And if they are contained within like an area, maybe they've got leaves above their head or something like that, they will just die and kill and damage things around them. Whereas if they've got a full block above their head somewhere, then they register as actually having blocks above their head and they won't set fireworks off. So yeah, I don't know how the devs can fix that one really without messing with the core mechanics of the game too much. So I guess that's a player issue really more than anything. It is listed as a bug, but surely, that's just a case of let's not put blocks above. No, let's not leave or use transparent blocks above villagers.
Well, you want to put non-spawnable blocks above their head in some situations. Think about how everybody puts the pod on the side of raid farms to hold the villager.
So you're going to have to put a transparent block above the villager, then a solid block, and then more transparent blocks above it to stop things spawning on it. So...
Overcomplicate it. Jeez.
It does complicate things a little bit, does it? But I guess it is a bit of a problem for villager houses as well, especially the 3x3 ones, because a lot of the villager houses, as Silent pointed out, have got either slabs or stairs roofs. So they're letting fireworks off indoors, which is brilliant.
You saved us. Pow! Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Where's Billy? We don't talk about Billy no more.
And Slack, good news. Rotated Owlface then continues this with the related book, MC195326. Villager fireworks can hurt other villagers, causing iron golems to kill the villagers who shot them. Amazing. So your villager sets off a firework indoors, blows it up, and then the iron golem just goes mental, going, I gotta get him. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's a bit broken.
Why is there no one at my villages anymore? I don't know. It could be something to do with a bug. Jeez. Oh, man. Amazing. See, that's when they add something to the game and they haven't thoroughly thought through everything that it affects.
No, because say you went to your iron farm on accident, okay, and you have your villagers set up in a trading hall and you got leaves over their head so nothing spawns there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you say you accidentally summon in a raid, you finish the raid, then guess what? Boom! All your trading villagers are now dead. They've killed themselves.
Yeah. Or like the iron farms that me and you have got, where it's all surrounded by leaves to stop lightning striking the villagers. Accidentally take a raid over there, get rid of the raid. All the villagers commit firework death ritual.
Yeah, no, God, how did that even get in? That's somebody not paying attention.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And then the iron columns in the thing below getting aggroed at the villagers above and not going in the... Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Not going in the lava, resistant, just standing there trying to target the other villager that lived.
Exactly, yeah. Amazing.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez. Pirate Danny says, bug locked into Realms 474. I've been living and paying for this bug for over a year now, although the bug seems to have been around much longer. I'm a console player. I have a realm with a few friends. The world size is 526 megabytes. For a while, we would pay for the realm until we decided to take a break from Minecraft, new baby, new games, etc. Then re-up the realm as needed. Right until sometime in 2021, as the realm owner, I can now no longer download the realm to the console or upload anything to the realm. Word on the street, Jira, is that it's supposed to be fixed soon, but there is an irritated part of me that feels used by Microsoft for paying them for a service we don't use every month. It's cough up the money or lose a 4-year-old world.
I distinctly remember somebody trying to fix their world with an Android phone.
Realms, in my honest, true opinion, have been problematic for years. And
since their creation on Bedrock.
And I genuinely believe that Microsoft should be refunding thousands and thousands of dollars to people that have these issues, because I know people that have had issues, including myself, that have gone to Minecraft technical support, been ignored for months, and then finally come back with this printout carbon copy of the technical support page from the website that tells you to just do this, do that, and do the other, which you've already clearly tried to do. It's it's awful. The whole system is awful, and the only way companies learn to deal with these sorts of things is when people take a stand. And unfortunately, we don't. We accept it. We go, oh well, it's not much. It's only Minecraft. It's a game, and we always make excuses because we can't bother, because we're lazy. The best way to deal with this is to stop paying and demand a refund. And there's no way they could argue against a refund, because there's quite clearly a service there that doesn't work.
Yep.
Now, I will say on Microsoft's side here that Realms will last, I think it's for 2 or 3 years after you've finished paying for them before they actually shut that down. Or was it 18 months, something like that, before they actually shut it down and take away your world? So providing you've got a way of actually downloading the world from it, you won't lose it just from stopping paying, which is great.
Their problem is that they can't download it.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't download it, then that is a big problem.
A piece of advice, and you may have tried this, and this may be something that somebody's already shot your way. I know with my realms, when I was running one, I could not download it while the realm was open. I had to shut it down and download from a backup copy, because while it's running, it won't, you can't download the active version. You just can't do it. It will not do it. I had to log in, log out so that it did a save, shut it down, completely turn it off in the things close realm, and then I could download it.
Yeah. And that only works sometimes. Well, at least back in the good old days when I had realms, the closed realm thing would sometimes just not work. So it would
crash
say it,
and then you were stuck for days without being able to do nothing with it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going on the, not on the phone, but you're tweeting at all of the devs that going, I can't do anything with my realm.
And they're like, well, you're very rude and we're going to block you. And you're like, but
yeah. Yeah, so it's an awful situation, and I hate saying things. I mean, Minecraft's my favorite game in the world, and as much as Microsoft as a company I don't particularly like, I don't like Apple as a company. There's a lot of massive companies out there that just don't work in a way that I think is ethically or morally right in a lot of situations, and I think Microsoft can hold its hands up and say, or should hold its hands up and say, that they act in that way sometimes. Microsoft or Minecraft itself, generally speaking, let's not think about marketplace right now, generally speaking, is a pretty good team. They're pretty switched on. They talk, they communicate, and they keep adding to this game for free, which, we've been playing for well over 10 years now, which is absolutely fantastic. But stuff like this just really does put a bad smell in the room, doesn't it? And just make this is that unexcusable. People are paying monthly for this. this is the bit you need to be focused on making better, and it's the worst part. So, yeah. And my advice, ask for your money back. You deserve it, and you should be able to get it if you've got proof that this has all been happening. And go and, get a server from somebody like Nodecraft or other alternative server providers, or even just run your own if it's just for you and your friends. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so Slack, what about you? Have you got any bugs? You've been recording loads of videos, you said, so you must have millions of bugs, have you?
No, I've not been really experiencing bugs except for just, general annoyances that I don't consider bugs, And I've been checking the bug tracker site, and it's just funny each day, the amount of things that people report. It's just silly. Like I literally, somebody put a bug report in over the word, how, so you go to your multiplayer menu and you want to invite people to your world, and it's like, send 4 invites, and they went into it's a noun. You can't do it like this. It's supposed to be invitations, and I didn't realize people were that gun-ho about, grammar, but okay.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's always, it doesn't matter what you do, there's that one person that's going to nitpick everything, isn't there? There's always, and it's those people that you just think, why are you spending your life trying to correct everybody? It's fine. Just let people make mistakes. It's okay. They don't need correcting. And there's always one. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that there's a few of those lurking around the bug tracker for people that do grammatical errors. There must be like either ex-school teachers or people that never quite made it in their profession. I really wanted to be a teacher, but I never made it because I'm such an arrogant waste of space. So I'm just going to go around correcting everybody on the internet instead.
Yeah. Good talk, right? Good talk.
Yeah. If you're one of those people, just know.
You can send us some feedback on what you really think about it.
That we really, really strongly dislike you. If you are writing comments or feedback, no, I don't mean this podcast. I just feedback on stuff like the bug tracker or comments to point out that someone's made a spelling or grammatical error, or that actually the facts are not 100% right because of this really tiny, nitpicky, pointless thing that doesn't actually make any difference, then stop. Have a word with yourself, disconnect your internet, and go outside for a long, long time, right? That's what you need to do. Don't do it. Don't be that person. Jeez. Moving on from the Bugdate then to our, second to last section, I guess, which is the questions. We don't actually have that many questions this week, Slack. In fact,
no, that's usually our filler section.
Yeah, well, we've only got 3, which is good news because we're pushing 2 hours worth of podcast already at this point. So, yeah, the first one is from Hip Hop, who actually wrote in last week as well. And they say, Dear Flaxy, Jessiie, and Slack, do you look for new TB members? And if so, what do you look for in a new TB member? P.S. I can't describe the feeling when you read my email. I hope one day I can be as talented as you. Silly Hip Hop. Well, they also asked another question in a minute, but we will get to this one first. Slack, do we look for new TB members?
Not recently.
No.
To be honest, we feel like we've got a very good crew at this moment in time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're always open to looking at new TB members. But the thing is, I don't know whether it's just good luck or bad luck or what, but we grew very quickly when we first started adding new members in at the beginning of each season. And the majority of people we added were great and we got on brilliantly with, and they've gelled and they've just been just like another part of the family, which is fantastic. But there have been a few, and I'm sure that's, no shock or surprise to anybody, that just didn't get on as well as other people. I'm not saying we didn't like each other or there was problems or anything like that. I'm certainly not going to go into detail on any of those sorts of things, but for whatever reason, whether it was a cultural clash or just a clash of personalities, some people just don't gel as well with others, and they've ended up just going their own separate ways. So,
and even internally, sometimes we have internal beefs.
Oh yeah, I mean any family does that though, don't they? Friends and family. Yeah. I mean, who do you just not fall out with from time to time? Everybody's got their own thoughts and opinions, and we're all different people, and we're all content creators, which means we're all desperate for attention and very opinionated. So yeah, we do quite regularly come to like sort of mini arguments that do get frustrating. But at the end of the day, we're family, so we put up with it and we deal with it, and then we move on, which is nice because those grudges don't last, and then we everything comes all nice and rosy again. Anyway, what I'm getting round to here is that at this particular moment in time, we've got a really nice group. So it's a bit of a sort of one of those clicky situations where a lot of us don't want new members because we don't want to rock the boat, and we don't want to potentially add somebody in that's going to make, not fit in. There's that fear of, if we add new people that we don't really know, are they going to slide in as well to this family as the previous people, or are they going to cause problems, or are they just going to not stick around? Like, Eco Soldier joined, did one video and just decided it wasn't for them, disappeared. Dan Robs Probs, no offense to Dan, joined us for a little bit and then realized it wasn't for him and moved on. That's absolutely fine. Bruno joined us, realized he didn't like Bedrock Edition, moved on. It's not a problem, but it's for truly Bedrock as an entity's point of view, you've got this thing that you've got people coming and leaving. When people leave, it's a negative thing and it doesn't look great. So we don't like that, but obviously that's just a part of doing it. We wouldn't say to anybody, you've got to stay. And we don't say to anybody, you've got to do this many videos or you're out. It's just, we
have none of those requirements. None of those requirements. It's just, we've got a family dynamic now that works. And I think we're all happy with where we are. We're growing good as a community overall. Each channel is growing, and there's nothing to rock the boat. And adding somebody new in, you're suddenly throwing somebody new into this mix. What if they don't like so and so? And what if so and so doesn't like them? And what if there's one person on the server that doesn't like that person? And now all of a sudden, somebody who's been here for 2 or 3 years is suddenly thinking about leaving.
Yeah, exactly. They feel a bit pushed out because for whatever reason. So what we're basically saying, in a long way roundabout way, is that yes, we would take on new members, but those members would have to be people that we knew well enough that we know that they would just slide in and be part of the team. So we're not interested in applications. We're not interested in people we never heard of. We're not interested in people with millions of subscribers. That's not what we're aiming at. We just want people we know that we know would be a good part of the team and that are capable of putting out reasonable quality content over a long period of time. People that aren't just going to do 2 or 3 videos and go, I don't want to do that anymore, which is fine. It's not a problem if people have done that in the past, but we don't want that. Obviously, we want people that are going to continue to create and make more videos all the time. So, and that's really difficult because as much as there's a group of us and we do know other people from Minecraft Bedrock communities and there are other people around that, between us all, we don't, we talk about it relatively regularly, particularly when it's coming up to new seasons and things. There's not really any one person in particular that we all go, yeah, that person.
And honestly, a little internal thing out there, we kind of do a majority vote right now, but I almost think we should do like a full, everybody's got to say yes. Yeah, I think it's got to be unanimous.
I think that's really difficult because, for me and you, we're
really grumpy and touchy.
well, no, not just that, but half the time I'm very open about the fact that I don't watch a lot of YouTube content or stream content. So half of the people that get suggested, I've never heard of, or if I have heard of them, I've never seen anything from them. I don't know. So For me to cast a vote on them, I'm not going to just say yes for somebody that I don't know. So my vote would have to be no, which means they wouldn't get in. So I think,
or a yes, abstained, and a no, maybe, I don't know,
which is the same as just not voting, I guess. So yeah, I mean, there's been a few times over the last few people that we've added, I've just gone, well, I'm not going to vote because I don't know, don't know any of them. So that's on you if it all goes wrong. So yeah, we're not looking for people hip hop, but we're always looking, if that makes sense. We got one eye open on what's going on, and if anybody crops up we think could be a good mix, then we'd be sure to throw them out and invite.
We pay attention, but we're not actively saying get over here.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to add. I mean, it's always nice to add new members because it's always fresh for the thing, and it brings in new audiences, and it gives us a little bit of excitement on the inside as well. But like I say, there's just that worry that you're just going to get somebody that It's the wrong person. Right, moving on.
And yep. I agree.
Sorry, Slack. Also from Hip Hop says, I was thinking about reviving the TB Rewind and was wondering if you would be okay with that. P.S. You don't have to read this on the podcast, but I did. I sent another email on a different account. You can ignore that. Okay, fair enough, Hip Hop. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. I don't think anyone's got any issue with that. We did get once somebody said, I would like to continue the rewind. Can I send them all of the logos and the music and everything like that? So and I was like, no, you're not having what we've done. And then, producing your own. You can start your own rewind, recap, rundown, whatever you want to call it. But we're not, handing over what was someone else's or mine or whatever to somebody and you just continuing it on from there, because I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's a reasonable way to do something, but we would absolutely love it, obviously, if people were doing rewinds or recaps, because of course we would. Why wouldn't we want that out there? That would be amazing. But it's one of those things you've got to do off your own back, I'm afraid.
I would personally love it, and I know a lot of people would, especially I think most of us internally would love it, because we don't have the time to watch everybody's content. We don't. And something that's non-biased that actually tells you what's going on with each member. I could sit down and watch one video to get a quick highlight of what everybody on the server's doing. I'd love it. Because I don't have time to watch everybody's stuff.
Yeah, I religiously watched the previous ones because it was so useful for actually knowing what the people I'm actually playing with were doing. So, yeah, I would absolutely love it. It would be great. Very, very much welcomed. And I know there's a couple of things going on at the minute that are sort of similar to that. But there's nothing, I don't mean this in a negative way. There's nothing massively consistent.
There's nothing consistent. Yeah, consistent. Yep.
So a weekly or even a monthly thing, like a monthly recap would be absolutely great. A weekly one, even better. But it's a hard thing to do, Hip Hop, and it's certainly a hard thing to keep up with. So, good luck to you if you do, decide to do that. Right. Squirrelicious Slack. Squirrelicious says, do you want to read it?
No, you're good. I was just looking. Go ahead.
Hey guys, thank you for another entertaining podcast this week. Music has always been a big part of my life. I've noticed that a lot of the music I've been adding to my Spotify library in recent years is game soundtracks or game-inspired music, ranging from lo-fi chilled tracks to epic orchestral numbers. I was wondering what your thoughts are on this ever-evolving genre. To what extent does a game's soundtrack impact on your enjoyment of a game? Do you have a favorite game soundtrack? And to keep this relevant, what are your thoughts on Minecraft's in-game music? Best wishes, Squirrelicious. Slack.
As far as my thoughts on Minecraft's in-game music, it's nostalgic, I guess is the word. It reminds me of when I first played the game. I haven't listened to it forever. I'll be honest, forever, but it's very nostalgic. It takes me back to years ago playing the game. And as far as my favorite game soundtrack, well, I can answer that easy. That's Halo 2 main theme. That's iconic. I don't think anything will ever replace that. And as far as other games, I'll be honest, like 99% of the time when I load up a game and it's blaring music, I immediately go to the menu and turn the music down to like either 1% or 0. I was like, I just don't want to hear it.
Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah. So do you think that the game soundtrack impacts your enjoyment of the game? Or does it depend on the game? Does it depend on the music? Or do you just not bothered about music in games?
Well, like if I load up Call of Duty or something like that, it's just too loud. It's just boom, 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 like crazy music. But like for like Diablo 2, because I've recently re-downloaded the Resurrection version of that and I'm listening to it. It's just old school classic orchestra music and stuff like that. I think it fits really good with it. And like 7 Days to Die, there's different types of music. There's music when the game's nice and peaceful, and then all of a sudden it changes to dynamic. There's a horde or bad guys nearby music. So it can affect the experience, but at the same time, I'm not bothered to just immediately just mute all music and play the game. Yeah,
no, that's perfectly understandable. My thoughts on that are very similar to yours. Minecraft's in-game music, it really does have that nostalgia hit, but that's because I'm remembering the old stuff, because I've never had Minecraft's music turned on since I became a content creator, which has been over 8 years now. So there's been loads of Minecraft music added to the game, particularly for the Nether and the End, that I've never heard, that I'd love to experience, but I just don't play the game in the capacity that's not recording it. And when you're
Exactly.
recording it, you can't have the music on because you have to edit your videos. And if you are editing it and cutting parts of the content, then the music gets all messed up. So that's why we add music on afterwards, which is a real shame because I would love to experience the music in Minecraft and feel back whenever I hear that Minecraft theme tune, I'm like, I can almost remember walking along in the first ever world that I played in, it's amazing. So yeah, I don't think Minecraft needs music to be entertaining because the music in Minecraft doesn't actually have any bearing on what the player is doing unless you're in the Nether and you're in the overworld. Whereas other games have reactive soundtracks where when there's a tension part of the game, there's tense music playing. When there's action part of the game, action music playing. When there's a soft part of the game, and that really does have a big impact on your emotional reaction to the game, and they really do help. Elden Ring, for instance, has a really weird but incredibly haunting soundtrack as such, but I find myself turning that down lower and lower and lower and lower as I'm playing it because it freaks me out. I'm honestly, I look
too distracting. Yeah.
I don't know if the game sound engineering is just so good or the laptop speakers on that Dell XPS are just so good, but I swear to you, I hear things behind me, above me, I hear things being banged about in the house, and it's not. I have to keep muting it and check it. It's not. It's just the game sounds. And a lot of that is just the ambience of it, not just things that's going on. And a lot of that comes to the music. Like you'll go to an area and it'll be all eerie and stuff, and you'll hear this noise and it constantly putting you on edge. And I don't want to turn that off because it genuinely sends shivers down my spine as I'm playing, and I get goosebumps, and I love it. I used to hate things like that, but I really love it. So yeah, and a soundtrack for me really does impact the enjoyment of certain games. That Pokemon game I played recently, Legends Arceus or whatever it was called, the soundtrack in that was awful. Could quite easily have just turned that off and put other music on. But going back over the years, the two standout soundtracks that I remember very, very fondly and vividly. The first one is the original Command and Conquer soundtrack. Was absolutely wonderful. I've listened to that over and over again. I've listened to it not in the game. I've downloaded it. It's brilliant. That made that game for me. And the other one was the original Gran Turismo. I played a lot of that on the original PlayStation. It was one of the only games I actually had for the PlayStation. And that had an amazing soundtrack on it, which was just normal music, obviously, just playing while you were driving. But that had a big impact on the game for me because when that music really kicked in, I felt like I was driving faster. So, and there were songs that I would skip and there were songs that I'd fast forward to. So I had that song that was on for that particular track. So I could drive faster with that track because mentally that's what I thought I was doing.
True. It reminds me, that takes me back to some of the, oh my God, what's the Need for Speed games that they had music in. Like I was actually introduced to some artists that I had never heard of from hearing in-game music there. And that was real music, not game music. I guess game music is real music too, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So summary there for me, I like reactive music. I like music that goes with the game that enhances the experience. But if it's just music for the sake of adding music in, I think it's pointless. Like Call of Duty stuff, I wouldn't bother with the music on that either. I think that's pointless.
No, it's too loud, man. They immediately, as soon as you load up the game, it's just like, it's louder than the thing itself. It's like main menu music in almost every game.
Yeah.
It's just like Minecraft itself. Load up the game, turn your music on, shut off the game and reload it, and you're going deaf.
I've found that with quite a few YouTube channels that I've been watching a lot of different YouTube videos recently, looking for tips and tricks in Elden Ring and things like that. And I've been watching some technology videos as well as stuff that just popped up on my homepage. And I've noticed that, and it's probably going to affect the way I make videos going forward, so that I get a particular irritation to videos that just have loud music in the background for just being there. Music that it's just the same constant music over and over again in the background. And sometimes it's not even that loud, but you're just aware of it and you just say, I don't need it, just turn it off. If your music's not adding to your video, don't add it. Don't put it in. If it's adding to it.
As a beginning content creator, I used to put music in because I couldn't deal with the silence of listening to my own voice.
Yeah, same. That's why I started putting it in. But I actually find,
like you, that I enjoy content better if it has no music Don't put me no music in. Don't do nothing. Just give me just your raw reaction and whatever you're recording. I'll be fine with it. You get over listening to your own voice.
I've been trying to add music in where I think it fits and where it helps. But what I used to do is I'd add music to disguise the fact that the video was boring or that I didn't like my voice. And I think a lot of people still do that and they're in that habit. And if that's you, just stop. Just don't put the music in. And it's so much more refreshing once you've put a few videos out there without just constant music in, and it just builds your confidence. So yeah.
Well, I still think music's appropriate in some spots. I think some light music on the intro is needed.
Oh yeah, intro music,
time
definitely
lapses.
that's key to you. And like maybe if you've got themes throughout your video, like you do this particular thing, throw a bit of music in there to go with it, but it doesn't want to be overwhelming and it's just all about the music.
Oh yeah, well it's like if I meet up with Foxy, I got to play the chicken song. You know what I mean? It's just like certain people. I have certain music that I play when they come on screen. You know, it's just it's classic. Dun, 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 you know.
Yeah,
it's just.
I do. Right, Slack. The last question. I'll let you do this one.
Which is from Big Baby, who says, "Do y'all know? Does Java have any similar issues with the necessity for chunk aligning like on Bedrock? Do you think Mojang will ever address this in Bedrock?" And I'm guessing he's talking about how entities love to despawn on chunk borders.
It does exist on Java Edition, yes. It's just not as bad, I think, which probably comes down to entity positioning mechanics are probably better on Bedrock, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe. I do know it happens on Java all the time because Jen, my girlfriend, plays Java more than Bedrock, and like with bees, it's horrible. Like, it doesn't matter where she builds it. If they cross a chunk border, it seems like they're almost always getting 8.
Yeah. So it does happen, and it happens on both, and it always has. That's the thing. That's a bug that's been there since day one, and I just don't think. And it sounds like such a simple thing to fix, doesn't it? It's like, well, if the bee is in this chunk, save it. If it's in that chunk, save it. But it just seems to be one of those things that it's
in this chunk and this chunk. So we'll just delete it instead of making 2.
Yeah, and maybe the like on computer graphics and 3D stuff, most models have an anchor point, or they've got a center of origin, which is like a fixed point in space rather than the whole 3D model that takes up. So maybe, you know, I would think for Bedrock and Java Edition, they should be able to say where that thing is, because, I mean, they have that because you can teleport things to a specific position, and it's
pretty much a pixel. Yeah,
that gets done. And you can teleport on Bedrock Edition down to like 0.0001 of a block, or even less than that, I think. So, precision shouldn't be an issue either. So I really don't understand how it exists, but from a really, really long time ago, back when I was doing my original Bedrock Edition series and I brought this up with a developer, they said it's just one of those things that's existed on Bedrock and Java forever. And, it's something obviously we want to fix, but we don't know how to fix it, basically. So, or maybe they know how, but it's too much of a complicated one or means too much of a change to the engine to do it. I don't know. So, yeah.
Probably just a little bit too on the complicated side. And so, like, somebody's like, I'm just going to file that under somebody else's problem, not mine.
Someone else's problem. Yeah, definitely. Right, Slack. Unfortunately, that is the end of today's questions. And if you've got a question, don't forget you can send them to us on an email to the theminecraftupdatepod@gmail.com. Don't forget to put question in your subject line. And if you don't want to send us an email, drop a comment in the YouTube video if you're watching it on that, or drop us a line on our Discords. Speaking of Discord, Slack, what are you doing this week in terms of producing content?
This week, content's still going to keep flowing like it does. We have videos every Tuesday and Friday, as well as a Farm of the Week video dropping every Saturday. As far as streams are going to go, I've thrown the schedule out the window for now. It's whenever I feel like streaming, which right now seems to be like from like midnight Eastern Standard Time to whenever the sun comes up and I get tired. I've been streaming 8, 10, 12 hours a day. It is what it is, but I've been enjoying it. But yeah, the streams are random for me at the moment, but YouTube content is consistent.
Well, and the complete opposite to that, my streams are consistent, but my videos are random. I will be streaming as usual on Tuesdays and Thursdays over on Twitch at 7 p.m. GMT. I hopefully will have a video coming out at the end of this week or the weekend, and hopefully, you know, I'll have some videos next week as well with a bit of luck, because Oliver's not here next week, so fingers crossed I should have some content coming very, very soon. On that note, sadly, Slack, it is the end of today's podcast. We have again gone over the 2-hour mark. We are into 2 hours and 15 minutes territory, which means it's time to do the off, go to the loo, have a drink of water, and
upload this, and then you got to get to editing.
Yeah, edit this. And I just want to go play Elden Ring, Slack. I got loads to do. I got to edit that other video. I got to walk the dog.
I gotta go edit like 5 videos and.
Have you stopped Elden Ring then? Have you given up? Have you had enough?
I haven't found the time.
Really? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I enjoy it, but I'm still at the beginning stage where I've got, I don't know, maybe 6-7 hours into it. And I'm kind of learning the mechanics, and at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't like my character, but it's like, I either got to commit and keep playing my character, or I need to restart, and it's like, I don't have the time to restart.
What don't you like about it? Is the stats, or the look, or what?
Stats and kind of look.
Well, you later on I haven't got to the point in the game yet, and bear in mind, I'm nearly 50 hours in, to change my stats, although I found the person to change the stats, but the item that you need I haven't got. But you do get relatively early on a way of actually just changing your character's appearance whenever you feel like it. So that's possible. In fact, I think that's like really early on. You get
well, the biggest thing. Okay, the biggest thing is I've invested points into weapons that I don't want to use.
You've upgraded. Yeah. I made that mistake. I put loads of upgrades on a weapon that I wish I hadn't have done now, but now that's the weapon I've just had to stick with. And it's great, but normally in games I like a fast weapon, and this is a really slow sword. Really slow, but it's ridiculously powerful.
I chose a giant two-handed like battle axe.
Oof.
Like the one that the big guys on the horses and stuff come at you with? Yeah.
Well, so if you keep putting your money in strength, eventually you'll be able to one-hand that, and then at least you can use your other hand for something else. So,
right.
Jeez.
Oh, good talk.
Right. Oh, anyway, yeah. On that note, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Jeez.
Good talk.